God has endowed the British race with a worldwide empire, that they may execute his sovereign purpose in the world. The victories you will have over the heathen are the victories of the nobler soul in man.
God save the Queen!
God save the Queen!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can everybody hear me? Right, that's everything turned off. Need a sign from the chat that everything's okay. The sound volume's all right. Before we get going. Right, okay. Is it good? Can you hear me? Right, that's good then. Right, okay. Nice. Right, so back again. I was hoping to have a nice holiday, you know, being outside, touching some grass, rolling in the idyllic fields and through the valleys, enjoying the weather. And then, obviously, you can't go 2 weeks in nationalism without someone spilling the beans. The beans went everywhere, and we've ended up with it's quite amusingly history repeating itself. For anyone who knows, and anyone who's looked into the history of the BNP, yeah, we've got BNP split 2.0. But who could have saw this coming? Did anyone say, "Hey, hold on, this is what's happening here, guy?" You know, I think there's a certain group out there may have said, "Hold on a sec, this looks familiar. This is only going to end one way, right?" And well, it's happened again, and we're going to go over it today. And it's going to be a long one, so I'm not going to cut any corners. You know me, I don't like cutting the corners here. We're going to listen to both recordings from either side to figure out what's actually going on here and reveal some of the, well, the inconsistencies on both sides. Oh, it's a beautiful train wreck. This is chef's kiss when it comes to absolute Kino content. And I was, it's going to be a rough few weeks anyway for Patriot Alternative. Coming down the line, we've got two trials coming up. Well, two sentencings coming up in the next 2 weeks, and I thought it was all going to burn down after that, but well, why let a few trials get in the way of a good bonfire? So, who are we going to start with? I think we should start with PAs, of course, because if we don't get that done now, everyone by about hour 5 of this is going to want to commit Sudoku on themselves from a very tall building by the look of it. Yeah, because we all know Mark and his speeches and his I mean, if anyone who's turned into PWR and hasn't fallen asleep by like the 20th minute, you're a fucking champion, mate. You guys, you're legends. So yeah, we're gonna start with Mark, and hopefully in the second half, another monotone version 2.0, which is Kenny Smith, will hopefully perk you up with a bit more of a a man who sounds like Mrs. Doubtfire. So let's go and crack on with this, shall we? We'll hide that. I need to share my screen again. Where are we going? Share screen. Let's go. Patriarchal Alternative. Share audio. There we are. There we go. Right, lads. Let's go. Don't fall asleep, right? This is the test. Like, keep everyone awake, right?
Well, it's now 10 past, Mark. We've got 63 people.
Right, we can keep handing out the links.
Yeah,
let's get started. Laura, you can begin the meeting.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to give a bit of a quick introduction, and then I'll bring Mark in, who's going to start.
Shout out to Chris for actually recording these and putting them up on his channel. By the way, thanks, Chris. You saved me a lot of hassle by doing this.
So I just want to start by saying thanks to everyone for being here. Thank you for giving us an hour on your Thursday night. We don't intend to take your whole evening, but we had a number of questions today, so we wanted the opportunity to give our side of the story. Mark and I have been answering questions all day, and speaking to people for hours at a time, and we thought it would be better just to present everything to everybody who wants to know. And we're also going to record this stream or call, whatever you want to call it, so that we can share it with everyone else after as well. So obviously the last week or so, it started last Wednesday, has been quite a difficult week, not in terms of us getting out there and succeeding as an organisation, but internally. So when it comes to man management, we've had a few problems, and it came as quite a shock to us.
A few problems.
And I actually want to start with something positive today, because Patriotic Alternative is the most active and dynamic nationalist organisation in Britain. Even our enemies at Hope Not Hate say that when it comes to activism on the far right, nobody comes close to Patriotic Alternative. And we've all been on this massive high. We've been doing these street protests where 500 people have been turning up.
500 people turn up, but 20 people are PA, right? That's the gist I've got from my sources. She's trying to claim 500 people turn up. Yeah, but that's actually local people, not PA activists. They number in the tens. I've
been going to YouTube videos where people have been talking about nationalism and us in particular, and every comment below is supporting us. When we were on Twitter, we were getting support from people like Jordan Peterson and SAG.
When you were on Twitter, the funny thing is, when you were back on Twitter for that 2-week period, all I saw was people calling Mark Collette a paedophile on his timeline.
On and MPs at Martin Daubney at Reclaim. I always get them two mixed up. And I really feel like we're beginning to move the Overton window, and nationalism, ethnic nationalism, is becoming more mainstream. At PA, we're currently getting more inquiries than we've ever had, and that is despite us being suspended.
Right, okay. More inquiries? Is that like one more? You know, one more is still more than what you had previously, right? You could get 2 inquiries, and now you're getting 3. That doesn't mean anything. I think you need to actually give us some numbers here, Laura, not just, oh, we're getting more inquiries than ever. Let's all right then, put your money where your mouth is and say how many you're actually getting then.
Suspended from all mainstream social media. So everyone has been buzzing. We've been on this massive high. And then last week, we ended up with these problems where there was disagreement at leadership level. And unfortunately, it's kind of spiraled out of control and turned into something that was, we believe, really unnecessary. And obviously it's
spiraled out of control. They decimated half your organization in one fell swoop. It's just a little bit out of hand, guys. It's just a little bit.
Resulted in what it's resulted in now. So we want to answer these questions tonight, and then we want to just put it behind us and continue doing what we're doing at Patriotic Alternative. I think on Telegram and social media, Chinese whispers and stuff, you hear all these stories and things do sound a little bit worse than they might actually be. At Patriotic Alternative, we have over 400 people on Telegram.
Whoa, that's a big number, 400. Wait, what happened to the other 14,600 people you keep touting as your supporter base? Why is there such a huge discrepancy between the amount of people you have on Telegram and the people that you say support you, Laura? Where did all those people go, I wonder? Or did they even exist at all?
And I've heard talk today of a split, but I can confirm that apart from Scotland, because I'm not 100% sure what's going on with Scotland at the moment.
What do you mean? Apart from Scotland? You kicked everyone out of the Scottish group. All the Scottish people left and you kicked the rest out. What do you mean? I don't know what's happening with Scotland. And then Steve Blake gets added to the Scottish, channel as the sole fucking admin. What's happening with Scotland, Laura?
But apart from Scotland, only 17 people have left.
Oh, okay. I see what she's doing here. She's trying to because later on numbers will come out. I think so far it's like 33 people, 33 officers have left. She'll try and claim that it's only 17 people, right? But she's negating Scotland here because the majority of people who have left are in Scotland, right? So far. So she's trying to it's only a few people that have actually left. If you discount Scotland. If you add Scotland into it, it's a lot more, right?
So
officers.
It's not. Yeah, it's not 17 altogether.
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry.
Yeah, even less. So it's not
lies. Tell me sweet little lies.
Split. I do think some people want to maybe listen to both sides, and I do recommend that. You make up your own mind. Everyone's an intelligent person, but there's definitely not a split, and that is not something that we encourage.
There's definitely. What do you mean? There's definitely not a split. They've got a fucking name for their group. There's not a split. There's just another group out there called Homeland, headed by Kenny Smith at the moment. That's not a split, right?
So yeah, we're going to jump in. I would like to say, I know that people have close relationships with other people at PA, and you might have a close relationship with one of the regional organisers who stepped away. You might have heard their side of the story. But if I can respectfully say, unless you've been there during what's happened over the last week, everything that you know is just, something that's been told to you by someone else. And I would like people to listen to
that also goes for you as well, Laura. If you weren't there, you could be lying to people, like you're doing now, I guess.
Mine and Mark and Steve's side of what has happened. We've never lied to you before. We've always been completely open and transparent.
Never lied. What age are you, Laura? What's your age again? Have you never lied? You've never lied to people, have you? How old were you one week, and then the next week you were 33? Were you? Never lied.
About everything. I think we're the only organisation who gives the stream at the end of every month and updates you on everything that's been going on and gives you the opportunity to ask questions.
Ask questions. Anyone be in a PA chat and ask questions, and you know what happens to you, don't you? You get banned. Ask questions. Live streams, PWR, ask a question. Mark glosses over it with some fucking made up shit he just came up with. And that's not the question you've asked at all. Ask questions.
So yeah, we've always been transparent, and even if you think you know what's happened, please just keep an open mind and listen to.
If you think you know what happened, keep an open mind. Please believe us. The sound of desperation. Please believe us.
What we have to say, and at the end we're going to take some questions. I believe there's an option where you can raise your hand, but when it gets to that, Steve will let you know what you've got to do, and we'll take questions, any questions from anyone, because we have nothing to hide. So on that note, I'm going to pass you over to Mark, and he's going to begin with the call. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you to everyone who's been here tonight, or everyone who is here tonight, and thank you for the work and the enthusiasm you've poured into Patriotic Alternative for however long that you've been with us and doing this. Now, I wanted to start by saying what this meeting isn't, rather than what this meeting is. Firstly, this meeting is not a factional meeting. And the aim of this...
Not a factional meeting. It is now. It is now, boys.
meeting is not to denigrate anybody on the other side. We're not here tonight to drag anyone's...
Oh, well, I don't know about that. The other side say it has been quite denigrating.
name through the mud. We won't be spreading any gossip. There won't be any salacious accusations made. No one is going to be called a red or a fed or a splitter or anything like that. So if you thought...
Desperate times, they got all your bank accounts and all your money. No wonder you're not going to call them reds, feds, or speds.
That's what it was going to be. Myself and Laura sort of dragging people through the dirt and attempting to lessen your opinion on them. That's not what this is. Secondly, we want to say that although these people have split away, we do have the utmost respect for the people who have been officers of Patriotic Alternative, and we don't...
Oh, you have the utmost respect for people, do you? Well, geez. I guess that doesn't apply to anyone who left circa 2021, right?
Don't want them to go. Neither myself nor Laura wants any of those people to leave. And by the end of the night, I will make a very generous offer to them all that they are all welcome back. And if we can shake hands and agree on things, I would happily wipe the slate clean and say it's water under the bridge. Now, many of you will be thinking, why would I do that after this? Well, I'll tell you what, we cannot afford a damaging split in nationalism, no matter how big nor how small. There is very little time left to save our people. This is truly the 11th hour. We're already seeing a situation, as you all know, this is why you're here, where our people are fundamentally becoming a minority in our major cities. And there's more and more of these cities where this is happening. So we're not here to say it's an us and them between us and the people who have split. We don't want that to happen. We want them to come back. We want to integrate them into the organization again, and we want to shake hands. We want there to be a clean slate going forward. However, I do believe...
Well, you know, when you say however, that's like that other word, what's it? But right? And normally, everything you say before the but doesn't count. So let's see what Mark has to say.
That there have been a number of misrepresentations of both what myself and Laura have said. And unfortunately, over the last few days, myself and Laura have been locked out of regional officer chats, regional communities, and haven't been allowed to give our say.
Right. Okay. So you want to invite back the people who logged you out of your own chats, who established these groups so that they would hold ultimate power to be able to lock the CEO or the board of directors, basically of your company, out of their own. And you want to invite them back? Oh, you're desperate, aren't you? Holy shit. Holy shit. That's blackmail. That's fucking blackmail, man. Oh, Mark, you are so weak.
And I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's correct because myself and Laura were the founders of Patriotic Alternative. And I don't think
Meanies, they locked us out of our own stuff. How could we let someone do this to our own? We're the owners, guys. We own this.
that's correct because it goes against the idea of natural justice. If somebody is going to make an allegation about someone else, if somebody is going to make a comment about someone else that requires an answer, the person whom the allegation is made about deserves a chance to have their say.
Oh, Mark, that's such a great thing, isn't it? Like the time that you did a stream about me calling me a hope not hate agent, an asset. Did you give me my right of reply? Did you fuck? So, you know, this is oh, we need to have our right of say. We need to counter your bullshit, guys. You know, whoever's right in this, it doesn't matter. This just makes Mark look like a weak leader that, well, funnily enough, I believe that's the reason why people left. So, you're not really doing much to patch up that image, are you here, Mark? But still, it's funny. You're crying about free speech and your right to reply. Yeah, you allowed this situation to happen in the first place, and considering it's from the people that shall we say orchestrated the BNP split in 2007, and the things that they called you, Mark, oh yeah, it's fascinating that you would even allow this thing in the first place, but you did for some reason. There's bewilderment to everybody. Maybe we'll finally get a clear answer on this. Maybe someone, now that this factional divide is happening, someone's going to go to Kenny or Mark and ask him about what actually happened in the BNP back in those days, and being like, well, why is this happening again?
And I'm not here to tell any of you how to think. You are free-thinking people. That's why you're nationalists. That's why you're involved in
Oh, look at that pandering. Oh, you're pandering now, aren't you?
this. But I do think that I deserve.
But you're free-thinking people. But that means just ignore that. You don't think. Mark doesn't want you to think. But I deserve
the right to speak to you all, and I wasn't being given that right. Myself and
you mean speak at them, yeah, and like do your little thing where you like, try and convince everybody that you're right, and don't listen to the guys over there saying the nasty things about you, Mark. Isn't this is kind of what you did to like many people who did leave, myself, Chris, Dion. Yeah, you kind of went around and did your little slurs and shit, and now you're saying that you have the right to speak to people about this issue, but we never got a right to speak to people. We were banned. We were ostracized for talking about the dodgy shit you were up to. So I have no sympathy for this shit. This is karma.
Laura had been removed from a number of chats, and over the
We're removed from your own chat. Oh, fucking hell. I'm gonna die of laughter before this is over.
past 24 hours, there has been a situation where we have been trying to get back control of our general and community chats in order to speak to you guys. And in some cases, I've had to personally go around and find the names of officers and say, look, we do want to speak to you. There is another side to this. And, you know, there have been people who have prevented us from speaking to you. Now, that is a major issue for me. But as I said,
and you want to give these people back? You want to give them the fucking keys to the kingdom back? You fucking moron.
saying all that, I am willing for this to be water under a bridge. I am willing to hold out an olive branch. And at the end of tonight, you will hear what that olive branch is. And I hope you will agree with it. And if you don't, you'll be able to ask questions at the end, because I don't want to split.
It's this Stockholm syndrome. It's the Stockholm syndrome by Mark. It's like, yeah, I love you, even though you beat me and abuse me. I love you so much.
I will do anything I can to avoid that, because the time is short and we don't have the energy, the manpower, the resources to suffer nationalist groups breaking down into smaller and smaller factions all of the time. Now, I'm going to tell you how the meeting will work. Myself and Laura are going to deal with three main misrepresentations tonight. We are going to explain what we said about the vetting system, which has been miscommunicated to you. We are going to explain about the political direction of the organization, which has again been miscommunicated, or we feel it has been miscommunicated. The vetting thing has absolutely been miscommunicated, but how we feel about the direction of the organization, that's a judgment call. We have a vision. We've always had a vision, and we're being honest about that. You can make your mind up on what we say on that. And finally, we are going to reveal to you what offer we made to Kenny Smith to stay on. We asked him to stay on. We offered him a full-time position, full-time paid position. He was currently on a position of authority. He was in a position of authority and held a national officer role, and he did receive a small payment each month. We value him, and we would offer him that again. We are not
Please come back, Kenny. We'll give you we'll give you the scraps again. You know when someone like literally like blackmails you into like keeping them on, and holds hostage the keys to your organization, and you don't come back with an offer and be like, well, if you stop all this, we'll give you back your job and you can just carry on as before. And maybe after 6 months, we might give you a little bit more.
dragging that man through the mud. Both myself and Laura respect him. We're not here to denigrate him, and I don't want anyone to do the same. And whatever you end up thinking at the end of the meeting, I would ask you all to be polite about whichever side you feel you don't want to be with. If you decide that you want to be with us and stay with Patriotic Alternative, whatever your thoughts were a day or so ago, it doesn't matter. I will shake hands with you, but I would ask you to be polite about the other side. And if you do decide to break away or leave, I would ask you to be polite about us. There is no point in nationalists spending their meager resources tearing shreds off each other. I hope we all agree with that. Now,
You're gonna do
before
it.
myself and Laura
I'm sorry, but that's gonna happen eventually. You know that, right? It will happen. Because the egos, man. The egos will not see that. Oh.
address these 3 key points, I'm going to tell you that we had 2 rather lengthy meetings, myself and Laura, with Kenny Smith on Monday and Tuesday. Those meetings were not lone meetings. Kenny Smith asked them to be chaired by his long-term friend and respected nationalist, Steve Blake. Steve Blake has had well over 3 decades in the nationalist cause. He is liked and respected by almost everyone that he's met.
Not from what I've heard.
I rarely ever, I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about Steve, and more so.
You should ask Nick Griffin. Maybe you should ask Nick Griffin what he thinks of Steve, Mark. That's someone who doesn't like Steve.
Steve Blake is one of Kenny Smith's longest and closest friends.
Ah, yeah, mate. He split the BNP with Kenny. Mark doesn't know he's being played. He doesn't. He doesn't know he's being fucking played. You think Steve isn't going to go and join Kenny's new organization? Oh. You're being played, you idiot.
So when he was appointed to oversee that meeting, myself and Laura agreed with it, but he is absolutely neutral. He's not my yes man. He's not Laura's yes man.
He's not your or Laura's yes man. Oh, really? What about Kenny's yes man? He's fucking Kenny's.
He wasn't appointed to oversee that meeting by myself and Laura. That was a request that Kenny made. Kenny said, can Steve...
Can you not see he's playing you? Kenny requests this guy to oversee the meeting so he can get all the info. You're just feeding him info. Because that's what Kenny does. He sends people to different groups. He sent people to the inn. He sent people to Highland Division. Yeah, you tried to infiltrate those groups to gain information. Kenny appointed Steve. He's right there in front of your face. You can't see it. You moron.
Steve chair that meeting and oversee it to make sure it's fair. We allowed that. That went ahead, and Steve did oversee the meeting.
Oh.
And I am now going to bring Steve on, before me and Laura address these points, to report on that meeting and to explain what happened and to say whether he thought most issues were resolvable and whether he thought the offer that we made to Kenny and the ROs that chose to leave was also fair. So, Steve, please tell people, please say hello and report on that meeting if you could.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody, fellow nationalists, and thanks for the introduction, Mark. Yeah, this is just a brief history. As Mark said, I have been in nationalism now for probably coming up to 4 decades, actually. And I have, in my early days...
And he's achieved what exactly? Oh, yeah. We're still in the position, right? Not, people, white people and the British people in the United Kingdom are still going to become a minority. In 40 years, what have they achieved?
Seen splits, and they were very, very unpleasant. And back in 2007, I was personally involved in a much more deeper split within the British National Party. It's a challenging time.
He forgets to mention the split was over. Drum roll, please. Mark Collett. And the Blackpool Hotel incident. Calling it pedophile. Oh, fucking, it's hilarious. He's just trying to softly that one guy. Don't ask too many questions. What did you split the BNP over? What did you split the BNP over, Steve? These are the questions people should be asking when people say stuff like that. Wait, hold on. Splits are very, very disruptive. I was involved in a split, a very deep one. Oh, were you, Steve? What was that about?
Time when these things happen, and yeah, relationships do get bruised, and in some cases severed. It's
Bruised. I tell you, mate. Someone called me a pedo. I wouldn't work with them, but I'm not Mark Collett.
a very unpleasant set of circumstances, and it's something we should always aim to avoid. And that is what we endeavoured to do over the past few days. We've endeavoured to ensure that everybody remains on board, that we resolve any issues between us, and that, as I said, we endeavour that there are no splits. I held, as Mark has said, with Kenny, Laura, and Mark 2 lengthy meetings on Monday and Tuesday of this week. I would say that we were in agreement on 95% of the issues that had been brought to the table. I acted, I believe, in a totally neutral manner. Individuals may disagree with that, but I believe that I acted impartially, used my years of experience and my worldly wisdom, such as it is, to bring about a resolution. And as I said, we achieved agreement on about 95% of the issues, which Mark will go through later on. It was
one of those issues is probably, right, the 5% that's left, right, they're claiming, is probably Mark Collett. Mark just can't accept that, right? I think that 5% is Mark Collett. and as Mark has famously said that, PA his baby, he set up the party with Laura, right? I don't think I think this is why the split happened, because Mark is the problem here. He's not going to step down. He's not going to give his gravy train up.
the 5%, the small 5%, and it seems particularly galling that we should face a split on what, in the scheme of things, are really minor points. Our people face an existential crisis. Mark has already mentioned the fact that in many areas of Britain, our people, our native white British people, are in a minority in a number of our towns and cities. We really are the last chance saloon here. This is the last.
Then we're fucked. I'm sorry to say, but we are fucked if you're the last chance saloon. We are fucking done, aren't we? The BNP, oh god, fuck me. There, yeah. You put your fucking eggs in that basket, you might as well break them yourself, yeah? Fuck's sake. Dude, the BNP, oh god. Has anyone ever gone into the history of the BNP? Scams, fucking paedophilia, fucking sexual assaults, fucking who knows, fucking everything else under the fucking sun. Threats, fucking docking in bloody fucking MPs and shit, like Red Watch. Like, what is this? Like, you think that, you want to put your fucking eggs in that basket, and you think that, you wonder why we're failing? Wonder why you can't reach a mass consensus with optics like that? And isn't that my beef with what is, PA has become? The optics, the violence, the threats, the old fucking, way of doing things just isn't working. And it will never work. And thank fuck for that, because this just stains nationalism, right? In its purest form. The Hitler simping shit as well, just a stain. And you want fucking you're the last chance saloon. You're fucked then, aren't you? You might as well take that black pill shit. I'm not about that. But fucking if this is the best you're giving us, there is no wonder people are black pill. No wonder they say, oh, there's no political solution. No wonder. You call about people going and doing Fed shit, like bloody, bomb attacks and shit. Yeah, because what have they got to like fucking, stop them from doing shit like that? An actual avenue for like political hope. They've got fucking none. You are the problem. Do you not see this? Your attitude, your failures, yeah? your long-standing, long-running failures with the same shit over and over and over again. What was the quote from fucking Einstein? What is it? Oh, repeating the same action over and over again, expecting a different result is fucking insanity. That's what it is. You're insane.
Generation of nationalists that can bring about change. And it is particularly galling that instead of focusing our energies here this evening and our resources and our collective energy, physical and mental energies on making our cause a winning machine, here we are talking about something that's happened in the past few days of a...
As I've just explained, there are many deeper problems with just fucking, splitting over 5% of the issue.
Negative nature. But I remain optimistic. I know the individuals concerned, and some of those individuals are good friends who I've made in the past few years. And in Kenny's particular case, I've known for well over 20 years. We've been through good times and bad. We've worked together, and I still regard Kenny as a valuable friend and comrade in the nationalist struggle.
Steve.
So it's particularly personal
wink, wink.
that a friend of such long standing is key to this issue here. So I believe that the offer that Mark and Laura presented to Kenny was reasonable and fair. There was just one or two minor disagreements in terms of terminology and role. And every other matter, we were in agreement.
Later. It's going to be the kicker later, boys.
And Mark is going to go through the details of that. But just to let you be all aware that we are not talking here any major ideological splits. We're not talking about any major changes.
Well, that's an important point there, Steve. There isn't any ideological splits. What does that mean? Right, so you're all fucking Hitler simps. You all think Hitler fucking did no wrong. Very interesting you say that. So it's not ideological. It's not on the, we all still love Hitler, right? So there's no kind of, hold on a second, the Hitler shit might be bad, right? Okay, then, that's interesting, because later, when we hear Kenny's side of the story, that might come into play, when people are saying a certain thing about optics. So, very interesting he says that.
Policy. We're talking about internal procedures, internal terminology of roles, and particular job descriptions. That's what it comes.
Again, I don't think it's about that. Not about that, is it? Internal roles and fucking descriptions. Are you saying that Patrav's alternative fell apart or is falling apart because of semantics? Fucking hell.
Comes down to. And I believe that there is a resolution. And everybody who has decided that they would rather work outside of PA could be brought back to the table, and that we collectively get back to making PA the number one vehicle, which is the manifestation of our national ethnic identity and the vehicle for political success.
You mean the number one vehicle for fattening Laura and Mark's bank balance?
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Steve. And I hope that starts to set people's minds at ease if people were concerned that something untoward had happened. Now, let's begin with the first issue of contention. This is a blatant misrepresentation of what's being said about myself and Laura. And that is that we want to do away with PA's vetting system. We absolutely do not want to do away with PA's vetting system. That is not true. You have my word on that. However, I want to address the vetting system and apply what I believe is a common sense approach to vetting. Now, I'm going to explain some things here. When we started PA just over 3 years ago, we had two conferences, one with about 100, well, one with exactly 100 people there, and one with just under 200 people there. Those conferences were absolutely phenomenal. We also had a number of camps. The energy, the buzz, the friendliness, and the welcoming nature of those events blew people away. And that built this organization a solid base. a solid base of people who wanted to do more, and a solid base of support and goodwill from the wider nationalist community. It pains me to say that many of those people who were present at those first two conferences are no longer here. And again, there will be no recriminations, but we were forced to bring in a system of vetting because there was a number of occasions where our activists had arranged open events and Antifa, the far left, whatever you want to call them, turned up and physically attacked us. We brought in a system of vetting for security purposes, to secure our meetings. And we absolutely still need that.
Mark, wrong. You were wrong, right? Because I was around at this time. The reason why the vetting came in was after a certain event where Nicholas Hill brought James Shand, a convicted paedophile that who he had known previously before his conviction, to a PA event. It was only after that was blown up in that Vice article that you decided, or Kenny decided, that there would need to be stronger and stricter vetting. So again, Mark, you're trying to sugarcoat it. You're saying we're being attacked. No, not initially. Remember, this was before basically you were attacked, right? I think there was a few attacks after this point, right? But this was not the main reason for bringing the vetting. That the attacks that happened in the summer of 2020 or so, I believe it was. They were in the summertime. So basically, if you were going to bring in the vetting procedure, why didn't you bring it in then? Why was it only after the James Shand article? Why wait 6 months to bring in this vetting procedure, unless you're that lax and that's a coincidence, but a pretty strong coincidence.
However, the way the vetting has been applied in an extremely strict manner has led to some regrettable decisions being made. Now,
regrettable decisions. We can't allow we have to kick people out who are friends of Mark Collett, basically. Oh, wait, James Shand. I wonder if he was a friend of Mark Collett.
People will know that you have to hand over two forms of, if you're unknown to us, you have to hand over two forms of ID, and you also have to have a home visit in order to come to events, local events. That means you have to give a driver's license or passport, a recent utility bill, and an officer has to visit your home. That is an incredible series of hurdles for some people to jump. Now, we have had cases, and I'm going to give you three real cases. The first is of a woman who we will call V. She attended the first and second conference. She attended a number of local meetings in one region and did a White Lives Matter banner drop. The next year, when the vetting system was brought in, she was told she wasn't allowed to attend any more events. She was basically told that was it. Now, she couldn't have a home visit because her husband is not politically aligned with her and didn't want people coming to the house. She was let go. In another case, a couple had been letting a region have camps on their land, and our activists and our officers had been camping there, having bonfires, using it to hold socials. They said, you've been to our house, you know who we are, but we have sensitive jobs. We cannot risk giving you our IDs in case anything happens to them. Those two people were told to leave.
Why would things happen to IDs and shit? Why would that be the case? Why are you worried about that? Is there a precedent for this? Has something happened in the past where IDs have got leaked on WikiLeaks, maybe? Oh yeah, there's a BMP list, right? Oh, it's a bit, no wonder everyone's so paranoid, right? Because I mean, again, the people who are supposedly tied to that event, do you know who those people were? Kenny Smith, Steve Blake, Matt Single, and Sadie Graham. Now, I mean, if you look at the court case, that's a very interesting court case. Could say there was a fall guy there, but that might be conjecture and But let's say, yeah, there's a strong sense in nationalism of well, what's going to happen to my IDs? Oh, I'm worried about giving you my photo ID and shit. I mean, nothing's bad's ever happened, right? I mean, it's not like you leave PA, warn people about some dodgy shit they're doing, and then two guys turn up at 7 a.m. at your house, even though you've asked them to delete your IDs and they've assured you that they did. Yeah. Wonder why there is that paranoia.
And finally, we have had a case where a regional organizer has known somebody for years. That person
Nicholas Hill and James Shand
works in a local government role, in the local government bureaucracy, and absolutely could not risk people ever getting hold of his IDs. So if the IDs were ever, if where we stored the IDs was ever raided by the police, he was concerned he would lose everything, his home, his job, and he would then be blacklisted.
See, here's the thing. Why would the police raid your home? Right? If you're an upstanding, law-abiding citizen, why would they ever raid your home? Police, I mean, they don't have the jurisdiction and authority to just raid your home randomly. They need an excuse for that. And if what are you doing to provoke that? I guess. I mean, it's not like you could then take some encrypted pen drives and hide them in a cereal box or something. I don't know. I mean, that's where normally the BMP keep their hard drives. It's in fucking Cheerios, in that they've got a Cheerios box. If you're ever if you're ever raided, right, put it in the Cocoa Pop box. They're not going to look in that one, right?
The regional organizer had known him for years, had been to his house multiple times. They were family friends. That guy was basically forced out. And over the last few years, I absolutely understand the reason for vetting.
Here's the interesting thing that Mark may have not caught on to yet. Have you noticed that this seems like all of the people that are being forced out in this third example, maybe Mark Collett's friends? Maybe the vetting system is to bring in people that are vetted by a certain person, who then he has.
But with the rollout of our new membership scheme, and with us embracing the demonstrations and community politics where we meet eager people face to face, I wanted a more common sense approach to vetting. I wanted a system whereby if somebody had been a BMP candidate 5 times back in the day, they could attend events. And we have had situations where people who are well-known BMP organisers from years ago that we all know and like, there have been queries over whether they should attend meetings because they haven't been vetted, but we absolutely know them. There have been issues over whether people's partners can attend, all kinds of things like this.
So what Mark Collett is basically saying is he wants a 2-tier system, right? He wants a 2-tier system where certain people are not vetted because he knows them personally, right? And while everyone else who comes in has to have a handover all their details, right? So if in this hypothetical scenario where the police do raid the bunker, right, with the fucking Cheerios box with the fucking database in it, right? Yeah, the fucking everyone on that list there is gonna supposedly, according to Mark, go to prison, right, for being on that list, except his friends. Isn't that interesting? Have all the I bet Mark Collett's address isn't on that fucking database. Bet Laura Towler's isn't on that database. But you know what? Everybody else is on the line. Bit interesting, that.
And we wanted a more common sense approach. And this escalated when certain regional groups around the country started applying a more common sense approach. So when these regional groups held demonstrations, when these regional groups did activism, if somebody came out of their house, shook our hand and said, hey, you know, come here, mate, take my number and give us a call if you're, you know, in this area again, we did. And sometimes we had people repeatedly attending our demonstrations in a particular region. We got to know those people. They helped us leafleting. We'd known them on Telegram some time. We knew who they were. We knew their real names. And these regions wanted to integrate them and work with them. There then became an argument over whether that was right. Now, I wanted two things to happen. Well, I'm going to say three, actually. The first, I wanted there to still be a system of vetting. That is 100% clear. We are not putting anyone at risk. We are not risking anyone's safety. Let me make that clear. Secondly, I wanted that vetting to be open to a common sense approach. That means that people locally could make judgment calls. And thirdly, I was not imposing my will upon anybody. I said each regional group was absolutely allowed to employ the methods they saw necessary. So if you had a regional organizer who was a little bit maybe timid or, you know, wanted to stick to home visits for everyone, he could. But the regions that were engaging in large demonstrations, reaching out to people, and were holding these public events, they could use a common sense approach.
And isn't that how you got people like James Shand to come to your event, supposedly? I believe I heard Mr. Simon Crane said so as much in a comment section on Chris's video. Isn't that the reason now people like that turn up? You know, you don't know who you're letting in, Mark, right? You know, that could be a big bad media frenzy then, right? You know, if you're letting in the fucking, you know, the local fucking Blackpool Peter ring, right? Yeah, I'd be very, you know, it's a very interesting, this you know, what, but there may be a reason why Mark wants to loosen to grease, shall we say, the wheels of the vetting procedure. It may have something to do with turnover.
And I want to make that very clear. Now, I'm going to draw a short analogy. If you go to a nightclub, not everyone is treated equally.
Mark, in your case, it would be an arcade, wouldn't it?
Some people, 3 women in their 50s who want to have a glass of wine and dance around their handbag, walk straight in. A gang of young men who are drunk and rowdy with hoodies on and puffer jackets, they are not allowed straight in. They might get the metal detector. And, you know, some people walk in, some people get questioned, some people are asked for identity to prove their age, some people get the metal detector, and some people are told to take off their shoes and are patted down. That is because different people present different levels of risk, and we're aware of that. And the final
Yes. Oh, this is hilarious. So yeah, the different levels of risk. You don't. The thing is, with the vetting procedure, as strong and strict as it is, it at least vets people. Like, you can't fault that, you know, if everyone has to have the same. But here you are trying to make the approach that, you know, I mean, holy shit, I'm agreeing with Kenny on this one. It's like, you don't know who you're letting in, right? You know, just because they're your friends, Mark.
final thing I'm going to say on this topic before I'm going to throw it over to Laura is she mentioned earlier that we are receiving a vast number of inquiries, but she kind of played it down because these inquiries generally come through the inquiry form. And one of Laura's full-time jobs for the organization is to take those inquiries, to contact the ones that she can deal with, and to pass down the chain to regional organizers the names and details of people who want to be active in their region. And every week we are getting dozens, if not some weeks more than 100 inquiries to the website of people who not only wish to sign up, but who wish to be engaged in the protests, the demonstrations, the leafleting, and want to become part of Patreon.
Holy shit, it's like 1.25 speed, like fucking hell. Sorry guys, yeah, I should have done that from the beginning.
Alternative. And every week we were finding that very few of those people were actually becoming part of our organization. Very few people were meeting the hurdles of ID checks, phone calls, and then a home visit. And we were concerned that there are a number of good people that we are potentially turning away. And I have heard that from regional organizers. Not every regional organizer wants strict vetting. Not every regional organizer has the time, the money, the petrol to go and visit people all over the region for a home visit. And we wanted to allow people more autonomy to apply what I term a common sense approach. So in short, and to recap, we did not want to do away with vetting, but myself and Laura have a duty of care to ensure that the organization grows. And we both feel that as leader and deputy leader and the two founding members, we should be able to voice those concerns and talk about issues that we feel may hinder our growth. And we both feel have in some ways unreasonably stripped away a degree of soft support from the organization, from people who came to events, people who were once our friends, people who were once very generous, both with donations, the use of their land. And
there it is. There we are, who were once very generous with their donations. There we go. That's the reason, right? Donations. What can you give us? You know? Oh, we'll cut that corner if you give us some moolah.
And with their time in terms of activism, we've lost many of those people. And I want to put that right. I said at the beginning of the meeting, I don't want the people in that other group to leave PA, but nor do I want a soft support base or slightly softer people who we know are safe to leave PA either. We need to be a big tent. We need to unite our people, and we need to make the best use of the resources we have. And
you mean the resources that everyone else has that you want?
Downstream from all of this is the fact that I keep hearing from many people that what was once a welcoming group has become somewhat of an us and them, where you either jump through all the hoops and then you're part of a very small, very insular group. And yes, there's high trust there, which I absolutely understand. That's why I'm saying we don't take away vetting. But that us
and this is the rub, right? You only need this high trust vetting system because you're paranoid as fuck. And why are you paranoid as fuck? Because you promote things and say things like maybe, oh, I don't know, maybe a Channel 4 documentarian, you know, snuck into your camp, recorded certain Kai Stevens and a group of other people who were like, yeah, if you support BLM, bullet to the back of the head. Maybe that's the reason why you're paranoid, because you say the most ridiculous things in your private groups, which contrasts with this family-friendly optics, forward-facing. Oh, we're all about baking cakes and jumble sales, and planting rose beds. Because your image on the front of it does not mesh with the thing that you do in private. That is why you have to have this vetting system, because you don't want people to join who might not be, compatible with your worldview, right?
and them mentality that locks out or scares new recruits and is leading somewhat to this vast number of inquiries.
I would say, Mark, that actually that scares really people is actually that dichotomy. Just think, right? This is the problem is, Mark, right? Even if you did open up the system to allow, all this soft support, as you call it, in, you still scare people off once they found out what you're really about. Zeke Hiling, goose stepping, and everything else that goes along with that. They don't want that. They're not joining to join the fucking new Nazi party of Britain, right? You know, they're joining because, you know, their communities are being overrun in these migrant hotels of people that, you know, commit crime, you know, or you know, make women feel unsafe on the streets at night. They don't want to join the fucking, you know, SS fucking Markham bloody brigade. But that's what you are behind the scenes, and that's the problem. That's why this why you need that vetting thing, right? So they're not going to accept it either way. So you're going to lose them anyway, right? But in your mind, as you know, get as much money out of them before they realise what they've joined, right?
Not coming through the door and being bums on seats. We wanted to at least raise this issue. Now, I think that is a reasonable point. I hope you do also. And Laura is going to talk about this herself. She's got some brief comments to make. So, Laura, if you're going to mute and give your opinion, please.
Yes, I'll be quick so that we don't take too much of your time. But I used to hate it before we had vetting. I mean, I live with our longest serving regional organiser, and before we had vetting, excuse me, we used to go to events and we'd have a redirection point. So we'd send people to the redirection point, we'd meet them, and then if they seemed all right, we'd go on to the genuine event. And I used to go every Saturday to these events thinking to myself, am I going to get my head kicked in? Have we given our location to Antifa or journalists or what? And Sam used to always say to me, right, we're here at the redirection point, stay in the car, whatever happens, stay in the car, I'll get out and deal with it. And it got to the point where we were like, we just can't do this because we're risking our safety every single weekend. So we introduced the vetting system, and it's absolutely fantastic. I feel so much safer now that we've got it. But the vetting system is
Against that but again. Everything you say before the but doesn't count.
supposed to keep us safe. It's not supposed to exclude people who we already know and trust, and that's the biggest issue. You know, turning away people who, I don't know, we might have known them for 3 or 4 years. They might live next to us. There might be
might have known them for 30 years. Might have known them for, you know. But they're our friends, so they get a free pass. So when the bunker is raided and the Cheerios box is fucking opened, you know, its contents laid bare, you know, you're not going to be on that list. It's not going to go on WikiLeaks your address, is it? You know, that's what you want, Laura. Is that what you're afraid of?
generous donator to Patriotic Alternative, so they allow us to buy loads of leaflets and stuff. And all of a sudden, because they were unable to,
there we go. They're a donator. It's all about the donations. What can you give us? Oh, we're running into a cash flow problem here. The membership thing hasn't been implemented yet, so they're not creaming off the dwindling support of people because, you know, as we've heard in the past, people just aren't turning up to PA events like they used to. And you've seen in recent months as well many split factions. You've got Highland Division, you've got Alex Yerbury with his support detachment, veteran support detachment, I believe it's called. Yeah, there's been plenty of splits from PA, and they've taken potential support away. And, you know, you've got dwindling support. Why have you got dwindling support? Well, people keep getting arrested for the leaflets that they keep posting. They're being told by Mark Collett and everyone else that those leaflets are fine. They're not against the law. But you know, they go out and they leaflet. And then some people get pulled in and arrested. Now, whether that is because of something else that they're doing when they're doing that, could be the case. You know, there could be, you know, other external factors to that. I agree. But again, like there's a reason why people are afraid to, you know, come to your activism now, because they see that, you know, they're being clamped down on. And with all the rumours and words in the parliaments and the Scottish Parliament about prescription and, you know, keeping a tight eye and watch on these groups, people aren't going to want to turn up. You know, with all these investigations ongoing, people aren't want, you know, they're afraid for their address to be out there. And this is before even a database leak. So, and why are they afraid of the government looking in on them? Because, sorry to say it, but you ain't no bake sale, love. Your organization's not the one that you know present. When will you realise that is the actual problem here? Yeah.
submit that ID. Sorry, you're not welcome anymore. And it's just situations like that where we should be able to invite people along. I mean, I want us to be as safe as everyone. I have a 1-year-old child. I don't take her to protests and leafleting and stuff because you can't guarantee he was going to be there. But we do go to family PA events together, and I have to keep her safe. So the vetting system should just be about keeping us safe. It shouldn't be incredibly rigid and strict. I think the regional organisers should have power to make decisions they want to. So if they want to do home visits and extra calls, that's fine. We had a situation in the West Midlands where somebody actually passed vetting a couple of weeks ago, and then the regional organiser excluded them anyway because they had a bad feeling about them. That's the Arrows call. That's absolutely fine. One of the issues that we find with home visits is that people are inquiring and then they're sending in their IDs and then they're having a call and then they're getting told, okay, now you need a home visit, but sorry, my diary's full and I run the whole of Wales, so I can't get anyone over to you for 3 weeks. And by then the person's given up. And this week we've spoken to a lot of normal people, our family members, our friends who are not involved in politics, and we've said to them, would this put you off? And they've said, I don't mind sending over my passport and my driver's license or whatever, but then I'd expect to be able to come to events. If you're going to have a call with me and then book a one-on-one meeting with me and then I can come to an event, it's too much. You've put me off by then. So basically we just want a common sense approach. And it has to be down to the regional organiser at the end of the day. You've got to do what you're comfortable with. And those are our thoughts, really. Keep us safe, but don't exclude good people.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the next thing, which Laura's actually going to start talking about, and then I will give you my opinion. We have been, again, misrepresented or potentially misunderstood about what patriotic alternative is. One of the things that's been said about the organisation is that neither myself or Laura are committed to community politics, and that there is too much time spent streaming, and fundamentally PA should be all politics and we're not a glorified social club. I actually take great exception, and I'm actually insulted by the fact that people have said that I don't take community politics or IRL seriously.
Mark, you fucking got bullied into fucking going to a protest by the 37. You got bullied into that. You got bullied into that by people like Chris, the 37, because they said you weren't turning up to these events. Mark, before summer last year, you didn't attend these events. You didn't attend those events. You were rarely seen. Everyone was like, "Where's Mark? Where's Mark? Mark's not there." Yeah, even events that happen down the road from you, you don't seem to turn up to, Mark. So you're going to give an example now, right? And this is the most hilarious thing I've ever heard, and this is why I think many people would concede that you are a weak leader, right? Let's just hear it.
I absolutely do. I was basically one of the few content creators who said, let's get off the internet and get doing things. The idea of this was to be an IRL community. It was to take things offline. But the idea wasn't to totally abandon streaming either. We need our own media. The idea was to be a broad-based community group. And when people are saying I'm not committed to community politics, when I missed my daughter's 3rd birthday party to attend Drag Queen Story Hour demonstrations, that, to me, it sort of takes my breath away that I'm being insulted in that way.
You gave up your daughter's 3rd birthday party to go and stand in front of hundreds of left-wing people with your gang of, I don't know, how many was it? You claimed hundreds. We only saw 30 people in the photographs. You missed your 3rd birthday party, that all because some fucking guys on the internet bullied you into it because they said that you never turn up to events. You gave up your daughter's birthday. What kind of man, right? You know what? What kind of politician would give up campaigning for a thing and ignore their own family? I wouldn't do that. If I said, "Oh, it's my daughter's birthday on that day of that protest," I would have been like, "Sorry, guys, I'm going to take my daughter's birthday." Oh, some people are going to say I'm not there. Well, I've got an excuse. I've got the excuse of, yeah, my family comes first, not nebulous fucking community activism that you're supposedly doing. You and yeah, Nate, I'd love to see anyone who would willingly do that, and if they do, that's why I perceive that as weak. you would give up your daughter's birthday, you know, family time for a protest. It's just a protest, right? You'll never get that third birthday back. There'll be plenty of other protests. Why was that one so important? Yeah, it's weak.
When I am needed for IRL work, for community work, to present the face of this organization and to stand at the front with activists.
You were bullied into that. You were bullied for fucking months. People saying you didn't turn up, and you're now complaining that, oh, you have to be the face of it. Don't you want to be the face of it, Mark? This is your ego trip here. This is your baby, right? Where is the leader, you know, in all these other events? But now you're claiming, well, I have to be the face of it. There should be no have to be. You should just you should do it, right? Except on your daughter's birthday, because that's just fucking sad, right? You know, just priorities, man.
And supporters. I am always there. I am there at anti-migration demonstrations, drag queen story hour. I was there at drama. I am committed to real.
No, you're not though, Mark, are you? Because guess what? You've turned up to very few events outside the Yorkshire region. You haven't been to London. You haven't been down up to Scotland. You were nowhere in the Erskine demo. Where were you there, Mark? I thought you were the leader of this operation. And you're here claiming, I've been to all these events. Not really. If you actually look at the events Mark has gone to, it's only been in the Yorkshire area. And even then, some of the events he didn't even bother to turn up to. So where is this leadership? He's only going to go to the ones that are going to get specific media attention, right? That's all he cares about. His fucking, his media upcomies. Yeah? Like, that's all he wants. He doesn't care about the people in those areas, really. Or he'd be at every single one, right?
World activity. And I think I've proven that, and saying otherwise is slightly unfair. But I'm going to hand this over to Laura now. Laura, what is your vision for Patriotic Alternative?
Yeah, this is a strange criticism, I think, because Patriotic Alternative was set up as an IRL movement because we wanted to get off the internet, so we set up here. It would have been very easy to continue just making a video on YouTube and doing the odd stream and, you know, earning a decent.
Wrong, Laura. Do you remember what Mark said? Mark said we're going to be a political party, right? And this is the major crux they're getting at, right? Is that they wanted to be a political party. Hey, I joined because you said you wanted to be a political party. I wanted to go down the political route, right? But guess what it turned into? It just turned into fucking streams. That's all it was. There was no action. I remember like talking with, you know, Simon Crane for months about why is there no Scotland group. It took what, 6 months for that to get set up. Simon was like talking about it, you know. He was ready to. He would have been, you know, ready to do something about it for months, but only after Kenny turned up that became a thing. So was Kenny instrumental in doing that? Maybe it was. But yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it? You know, they're talking about, well, it's easy to just do the streams. It seems like you just want to do the streams. You're not talking about the political party stuff anymore, right? Very rarely. And you keep failing it. What's it now? 8 times? Interesting.
Amount of money for that and not having to deal with any rubbish. But we created PA as an IRL movement. And I mean, I was out doing homeless outreach on Saturday, and then Monday again, I'm going to Long Eaton on Sunday to give a speech at a protest. It's Tannock, there'll be the weekend after that, and then it'll be a Yorkshire event. We're out constantly. And PA is known this year for our street protests. That's what we're known for. Like I said at the start of this call, even according to our enemies, nobody comes close to the level of activism of Patriotic Alternative. And at the end of each month, we present a graphic for each region, and they're out constantly across the whole country. So we are so active. I mean, me myself, I only stream for an hour and a half a week on a Monday. I don't even do that now because we've changed it into a video instead of a stream. But we want.
Oh damn! Rip tea time with Howler. Sorry, not Howler Monkey. Shout out Howler Monkey, by the way. Rip tea time with Laura and Sam. Damn, it's not going to be a stream anymore, just a video. Wow, that's a bit of lazy, you know, content there. It's no longer a stream anymore. Fuck. How are they? Oh, I guess the T cells must be going well, right? I mean, how are they going to grift on the video now? Maybe they'll maybe they'll premiere it like a super chat thing and just do it that way. Get the super chats in through the premiere thing, maybe. Be interesting.
I want to keep streaming because that brings attention to Patriotic Alternative. So we use content creation, we use social media, we use making the legacy media bite. I'm sure you've all played, a part in a piece of activism where you try and get a bite from the media so that we get some attention. We do all this stuff to bring eyes to a Patriotic Alternative so that we can grow our community and our IRL movement. But we don't do streaming as
IRL movement. Yeah. Money, you want the money.
an end. That's something that isn't a solution, but it brings attention to the solution, which is the IRL stuff. The focus at Patriotic Alternative is we have different things that we do. We want to build a community of people. We want to raise awareness about certain issues. We want to act as a pressure group. We want to help disadvantaged white people. We want to move the Overton window. And we also want to go down the electoral route as well. And we have been fighting to be a political party since we formed. Since 3.5 years ago, the Electoral Commission are making it very, very difficult for us, but we are still giving it our all. I'll be honest, this is not something I'm involved with. Mark, Steve and Kenny had been working on that document. I don't think we need 4 people to work on it, but they'd been working on that document and we arranged a meeting with the Electoral Commission. They are so awkward. They kept changing their minds about what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. And we were like, you've changed that. And they're like, yeah, we're allowed to. They just don't want to let us through. We're going to keep trying, but it's difficult. But there are other options. There are organisations like the English Democrats that want to work with us, and we're going to be able to stand with them. We can also stand as independents, and we will keep trying to get Patriotic Alternative registered.
Oh dear, that sounds like they're giving up, doesn't it? Oh, what? Why bother with PA's electoral route if you can just support the British Democrats? Wouldn't you want to do that anyway, right? You're just splitting the vote then if PA becomes a party. So this sounds like a win-win in their eyes. They don't want to do the political side. They just want to bake their cakes and get people to make the media bite, right? Whereas let the Democrats do the hard work. We'll just sit here and take the money and well that's, I mean, if that's the case, then if people are putting money in for the hopes of becoming a political group, why not just give the money to the British Democrats then? I bet they wouldn't like that, would you, Mark and Laura? I bet you'd be up in arms about that. If that were the case, if all those donations and those new people were, you're funneling them towards the British Democrats.
I think some of the criticisms this week are from people saying that we're not focusing on electoral politics enough. We formed PA as a community building group because we can't promise that we can win through the electoral route. The demographics in many places in Britain.
Look, it's not about winning in most cases, Laura. That's not the point, or was the point, right? It's not always about the winning, it's the taking part. And if you don't take part, you don't even stand a chance of winning, right? You have to play the fucking game. Sorry to say it. But, can't win the egg and spoon race if you don't take part in it. Right? You may not win. So what? You took part. You gained eyeballs, right? Like you said, the media attention. Yeah. Imagine if you worked at it then. Imagine if you did work at it and you did get a counsellor, right? Oh, the media attention you would get then would be massive, They call you all sorts of things, Nazi. The Nazis have got a new counsellor, whatever. But you'd have got your, attention then. If that's what you want. Or do you want success? It's going to take a lot of hard work, but it doesn't seem like you want to put in the effort. You want to pawn it off onto other people.
Just absolutely beyond the pale. And the electoral system that we have in Britain is 2 centuries out of date. It's a system that's set up to leave us ineffective, and it's a system that's controlled by our enemies. Not even the people in Westminster. It's controlled by much more powerful people than them. That doesn't mean that we can't.
Oh, get the tinfoil hats out, guys. It's not by the people in Westminster. They're more powerful than that. Who the fuck are these people then? Are you a truther now? What are you? Like, is it the lizard people? Who are more powerful than the people in Westminster? That's the ultimate cope right there. It's like, oh, why bother even trying? There's more people powerful than the elected government of the United Kingdom. Why bother? Fucking, it's everything here is just, yeah, we don't want to do that. Everything she's saying is, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be part of a political thing, because what's the point? There's lizard people like controlling the government who have more power and are undemocratically elected to these positions, and they hold all the power, and they can, I don't know, squash you or something. Like, when you say stuff like that, as I said earlier, you're not giving any people any hope with that kind of talk.
Can't use it for our benefit, and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't give it a shot, but we can't put all our eggs in that basket, and that's why it's so important for us to focus on other things as well. Building a community, getting out there and helping people, focusing on self-sufficiency. We have things like an alternative curriculum, a patriotic alternative for parents who want to home educate their children. All of this stuff is so important, and we can't promise that we can succeed through the electoral route, but we can promise that we can create a community, so whatever happens in the future, we've got each other's backs. And in Yorkshire, we have a very strong community, and if we need to do a protest tomorrow, I know that Sam can go, guys, I need you tomorrow, and because we're so close, we've got 20 people there at that protest, and that's why the community is the foundation of PA. Also, when it does come to campaigning in the future, sorry, I have a bit of a sore throat. If you campaign, maybe you stand for patriotic alternatives. So say you do rubbish the first time and you get 1%. You don't know each other. There's no community. Everyone's like, oh God, we failed. Let's sack this off. But if you've got a strong community there, it's like, it doesn't matter. Let's go again. Let's try again next year, and you'll improve. So I think the criticism is that we don't want the primary focus to be electoral politics. We do want it to.
This is utter schizophrenia. Like, 1 minute she's implying, oh, don't bother. Like, there's no point. We're not going to succeed. And then she's like, oh, it doesn't matter. We'll just try again. What is it? What are you trying to get at, Laura? Like, are you going the positive, or are you just saying, well, there's no point, and I don't. This is schizo.
To be a focus, but we don't want it to be the only focus. There are so many more things that we want to do as well. So I think that covers it really, and I guess
there are so many more easier things we want to do. That's the real kicker here.
You've got some things to say as well. Oh, one other thing, sorry. PA founded ourselves as a radical organisation. We never said that we wanted to play our enemies' games and just jump through hoops for the system and just, stand in elections and do what's expected of us. We're a radical and revolutionary movement. We don't just want to play the hand that the enemy gives us. We want to just burn the whole casino to the ground and start again. We want to change. I mean, UKIP, was it 4 million votes?
Those are fighting words, Laura, aren't they? Holy shit. We are, whoa, the media would have a field day with that quote right there. We are a radical organisation that wants to burn the casino down and not play the games. Okay, that sounds like something I've heard before. It's like, there's no political solution, therefore, what prison cell we going in tonight for making bombs and stuff? Like, what do you do if you don't engage in the political route? You're basically saying, oh well, we're going to go down the other route, the route where a lot of people are being done in for printing 3D guns and shit, right? That's what it sounds like when you say, oh well, we're a radical group and we don't want to play the games, right? That's I retract that statement.
That they got a few years ago, and they didn't even get a single MP, even after getting 4 million votes. We're proposing that we try and change these things, but basically we don't just want to say electoral politics is going to save us and that's it. We want to try so much more, and I'll pass it over to.
Try so much more. Okay, what? If electoral politics cannot, how are you going to? Okay, so you're going to go down the civil disobedience route. That requires people and as you say, strong communal bonds, and you don't have that yet. You seem to be not working on that, and that as well requires a lot of trust, I guess. So you could go that route, and well, I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem like you're doing that either.
Matt,
I want to be very clear now, because I can't really, even though I have been misrepresented on this, I shouldn't really be. There are dozens of streams where I have defined what we set PA up to be, and it is even on the About page of our website. Patriotic Alternative is a community-based group that advocates for the indigenous people of these islands through numerous means, through social activity, community-based politics, lawful advocacy of multiple avenues.
Lawful. Yeah, sure. Yeah, is bundling some Antifa guys trying to infiltrate your group into the back of a car and driving around the fucking warehouse estate. Is that lawful? Then sending voice notes out saying, oh well, if Vincent Burke had not, if those damn kids had not sabotaged it and put his face out there, we would have him by now. We'd have his devices. We'd break his legs. Is that lawful advocacy? Because Kenny was doing that shit when you were part of PA. I guess that's part of the lawful and other means, right?
Multiple avenues. And now that people are coming and saying, firstly, that we don't want to be a political party, we absolutely do. Everybody who has said we don't want to be a political party got involved with PA substantially after we applied to be a political party for the first time, which happened a mere week or so after our inaugural conference when we founded. So we have been trying to become a political party for that length of time. But PA serves far, far more goals than just going down the political route. I have been clear in speeches, in Telegram discussions, in live streams, that political parties on the right fail time and time again because they are just political parties. We brought with us community politics. We absolutely did. But we also brought social events. We also brought legal advocacy. We also brought fitness. We also brought...
Is that why Kenny's really left? Because you told him to cut down on the kebabs? Is that why? Is that you brought fitness? Hey, what happened to all your fitness people, by the way? What happened to PA Fitness? Is there anyone left at PA Fitness? They taken that too? Those damn separatists taking my fitness. Oh yeah, also one of your fitness guys is in fucking Chelmsford right now, isn't he? Waiting trial for what terrorism charges? Oh, so yeah, I guess they did take your fitness, didn't they?
Help.
Oh, it's all gone to shit since then, though, right? Really?
For young men who needed CVs or tutelage or life skills. We brought Help the Homeless outreach. We brought litter picks. We brought banner drops. We brought demonstrations. And we did all of this hand in hand with a vibrant, exciting, and lively online group of streamers that wanted to build an exciting, fun, and diverse alternative media so that nationalists had places to go to hear the news, to be entertained, and also, crucially, as a place where we could talk about our activism. Because...
And where are they now? Where are all those streamers, right? You had people like Iconoclast, you had No Chance, you had many others. In fact, Jodie Kay, you had Miss Britannia, people like this. You did have all these people, but where are they now? How many streamers do you have now? You've got Laura, you've got, I don't know what's happened to Chief Moody. Is he still around? Is he bunked off with the Scotland guys? And you got PWR. Who else you got? I don't know if Jodie Kay even still does her streams. That's all you've got now. You had Iconoclash, you had Dangerfield, you had On the Offensive. You had Jakes and Latte, you had whoever else, right? You had all these people. And they're gone. They're not there anymore. So what happened?
We're not going to be on the BBC every night, guys. They're not going to get me on Question Time to talk about big issues like the cost of living crisis or the small boats, as they call them. So we make videos. We do streams like PWR because they're important. They're not the be-all and end-all, but that's where we came from, and we shouldn't abandon it. And we also shouldn't malign the wider community or people who stream. There is an absolute...
Because that's all you do. The reason why you're saying that is because you don't want to be taking the flack for streaming. Because that's all you really do, Mark, is just stream. That's it, because that's your bread and butter. You don't want to stop the streams because that's where you get the most donations from your American audience, ain't it?
Symbiosis between streaming and IRL work. People do IRL work. The streamers talk about it. That gets people excited. More people want to come and get involved. More activity happens. There's more for the streamers to talk about. That is how we reach people. And this nonsense of streaming is now somehow antithetical to our brand of politics is rubbish. And I'll tell you why. When I was in the BNP, we had a magazine called Identity, and we had a newspaper called The Voice of Freedom. They came out monthly. We don't produce a newspaper. We don't produce a magazine. But we do produce 4 long-form streams a week. We do film reviews. We do book reviews.
4. They do 4 long form streams a week, right? So who's that? PWR, Tea Time, PA Talk. That's no longer there. Chief Moody then? What's the other one? Oh no, wait, it might not be Chief Moody. That might be or unless Mark's talking about his David Duke appearance, and then there's the book club review thing, right? Is that what he's counting? 4 streams a week? Is he counting himself, or is he counting other people in that? But 4, that's all you had. I remember at the time, like, you had loads of streams. You had Patriotic Talk, you had fucking Iconoclast, you had and Dangerfield and stuff like that. You had PWR, you had plenty more before, but they're not there anymore. You've lost so much.
Reviews, we do. I do a short video every week about the biggest topic of that week, an in-depth analysis. That is ideological development. They are videos people can share. That is a string to our bow. Should it be the only string to our bow? Of course not. That's why myself and Laura started Patriotic Alternative. Starting Patriotic Alternative and moving into the real world is undoubtedly what got myself and Laura banned from YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Had myself and Laura simply wanted to keep collecting super chats, donations, whatever you want to call them, and streaming, we could have done. We could have toned it down a bit and never started this, but we didn't, because we wanted to get this rolling. Now, the other day, and I'm not going to mention the name of the person, this isn't to denigrate anyone, but somebody said in a heated discussion about Patriotic Alternative that Patriotic Alternative should not be a charity for disenfranchised whites. We should be a political party. I fundamentally disagree with that statement. Fundamentally. There are no charities, no outreach, and no groups out there looking out for the interests of white people. If the people here tonight, if us, the people listening to this were black, if we were Jewish, if we were homosexual, if we were Asian, Muslim, doesn't matter. They would be government-funded groups helping us. I am so incredibly proud of the work we've done to help people, disenfranchised whites, in need.
Right, okay, so, okay, Mark, you're saying this, but then what have you actually done? You've given sandwiches to the homeless? Okay. What else have you done? Is that it? Because all these other groups and charities, they help them get, like, scholarships at school. They help do, sporting events, stuff like that. What else? For kids, stuff like this. There's loads of different things. But the problem is, most of those charity things, they do one specific thing, right? PA are trying to do multiple things rather than focus on one thing, right? And as as noble as that might be, what you're saying, and I agree with, there should be charities that help disenfranchised, British people, right? But again, it's like are you spreading yourself too thin here? And are you not actually achieving anything? Because other than the homeless thing, I don't actually know what else you've done. Like, is that it? Is that what you're calling, you've helped people? How many people have you actually helped then? Like, a few? I mean, it's good that you have, right? Give them a meal and stuff, but it's just a band-aid on the actual problem. Are you, helping these people, these homeless people find work? Are you helping them get out of their situation? Are you doing anything like that? Or are you just putting a band-aid on the problem? Are you helping them get off drugs? There's plenty of, our towns and cities are rife with, like, drugs and, alcohol abuse and stuff like that these homeless people suffer. Have you tried, are you actually like maybe doing something about that? Focus on that kind of stuff, or are you just putting a band-aid on the thing saying, look guys, it's just for a photo shoot. Well, this is just a PR campaign to say that, oh look, we actually give a shit when you don't. Well, technically you're not really actually solving a problem. You're just solving a symptom of the problem. Yeah. It's interesting that,
And I believe in the electoral road. I believe we should be a political party. I'm not sure that we could win a parliamentary majority because of the demographic shift, but I am sure that we could win local council seats. And one day I would hope we would have a chance at polling well in some parliamentary seats after a lot of hard work, may I add. But that does not.
You seem averse to hard work.
Not mean we neglect people who are genuinely in need. It does not mean we give up on being a pro-white charity. It does not mean we give up on legal advocacy. I had Robin Tilbrook on PWR last night.
Your company is a company, right? It's a non-profit company. And here you've said 3 different things that you aren't, right? You're trying to do. Like, if you want to help, like, if you want to be a charity, right? Not a company, I know you're a not-for-profit company, but still, like, then register as an actual charity, yeah? Not a company. So, change your focus if you want to do one of these things. But I think what you're trying to do is too many things then, right? And this is where some of the things of, the split has happened, and why it's happened is because you're not doing the right things. You're spreading yourself too thin. I'm being very charitable here to this, like, I'm trying to solve your problem here.
Work with him on legal advocacy for our people. Many white people have come to me and said, I am in trouble at work, I am in trouble at school, I have these problems, I have nowhere to turn. What do I do with those people? I advocate for them and I help them. I'm proud of that. Fundamentally,
you advocate for them and help them. Okay, give us an example. You keep saying you help young men when they come to you, but like, share their stories then. Where are the stories of the men you've helped? What have they gone on to do? What have they gone on to achieve? How have they overcome this adversity, right? That they've faced. That'd be great, that would show you be doing something, but it's just words at the moment. There's no examples. It's, I helped them. All right, how have you helped these people? Because this is probably part of the problem that you face, Mark, is people see that you don't seem to be doing much, and then they scratch the surface. You give them statements like, oh, I help people, and then you don't ask, I help them, oh, well, how do you, no, I just help them. If you're not willing to go into details about how they've been helped, I mean, you talk about propaganda and wanting to get attention, like that'll, all these good deeds that you're doing like that could be a real boost for, saying what you've done. Much like the homeless thing is your PR thing. Well, well, do it with these advocate, how you're advocating for all these disenfranchised young men.
We are more than just a community politics group. We are also a social community. And I keep hearing this banded around from people who, again, I disagree. They say PA should not be a glorified social club. Well, I can tell you this. I know people who have spent years depressed, sad, isolated, atomized, and lost. They've come to PA because they just wanted to sit in a room with like-minded people with whom they could express themselves. There is nothing wrong with that. If a man comes to PA to sit in a room and talk to someone so he doesn't go insane and he has a bit of company, good. If a man comes to PA to deliver 1,000 leaflets a day, good. If a man comes to PA to stand on the front of a picket line with me, protesting against a migrant hotel or protesting against Drag Queen Story Hour, good. If somebody comes to PA because they have legal expertise and want to help young whites, good. If somebody comes to PA and they want to help young men become fit and healthy, good. If somebody comes to PA to do pro-white art, music, literature, write articles, write books, good, 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 good. There are overlaps between all of these things, but I believe they all have a role. And I don't believe that one is a block to another. If a group of women want to start a PA mums and babies group, that doesn't stop two men working a local council seat and putting out leaflets. If a guy who's passionate about weightlifting in the gym wants to help other people who are passionate about getting into shape shed those extra pounds, then good. That doesn't stop me and Laura attending Skegness or Cannock. Not everyone is cut from the same cloth. Not everyone can do the same amount of work. Not everyone is good at everything. I am not good at everything. I am not perfect by any means. I am a guy that can debate 4 Jewish men and come out on top. I'm a guy that can give.
You could also debate 2 American teenagers and get your fucking shit pushed in. You remember that one, Mark? Or the Muslim preacher in which you like capitulated that? Yeah, so yeah, that guy as well. You didn't do too hot there either. But yeah, those 2 kids, they you know, they wrecked you on facts you should have known. But you love to tout this big man's, you know, oh, I beat 4 Jews and came out on top. Well, you know, you had Ralph's help as well, didn't you? You know, he was helping you there with that one, wasn't he? I mean, you know, so you know, it's kind of like, you know, you want to sugar. I feel you want to sugarcoat these things, don't you, Mark, with the examples that you're giving here.
Give a speech at a demonstration and get everyone clapping and cheering. I'm not a guy who is good at admin work, but that's why we all have different roles. Not every accountant can build himself an extension on his house. Not every bricklayer can do his own accounts. That's why an accountant calls a bricklayer and a bricklayer calls an accountant. They need each other. There's a symbiosis. Not everybody is going to come to PA and do the same thing. And if we ask them all to do the same thing, we'd be banging square pegs into round holes. We want the homeschoolers. We want the historians. We want the people to do mother and baby groups. And absolutely, we want community politics. Now, on to the issue of community politics. This idea that I don't prioritize or care about community politics, when 2 of the top 3 items on our slider on our website are protests and how to get involved in local protests, is telling. The fact that every week we send out a PA update that prioritizes all kinds of local activity, and at the bottom of every one of those send-outs there is a get involved at our next protest, is very telling. We are prioritizing community politics. It's not always the same. Last year it was Drag Queen Story Hour.
No, I think that community politics, no, they're on about getting council seats, get parish council seats, stuff like that. That's not community politics. That's activism, protesting, right? That's, you know, that's not the same, Mark. That's not what the problem here is. You're not addressing their problem. No wonder they split off, right? No wonder they've gone. You're totally avoiding the point.
Before it was Drag Queen Story Hour, it was Demographic Awareness Month. Now it's anti-migrant demos. But whatever it is a form of white advocacy. It helps out.
It's a form of bandwagoning, right? You see, it's a form of bandwagoning, right? And you know what? For the success that the Groypers, you know, had between me, Chris, and so I'd say, like, you know, the people involved with that, like, that wasn't bandwagoning, right? That wasn't jumping on the thing. Well, it kind of, I guess it might have been a little bit with the topic, but it was you know, it was trend setting, right? And what spawned from that, you know, there was stuff with Nick and his frog thing, you know, things like that. You're chasing trends rather than creating them. I feel that is part of the problem here as well. You're not on the pulse of, you know, you're just you're too reactionary, right? You need to create the talking points rather than just, you know, jumping on someone else's, right? And, you know, because it's easy to do that, isn't it? And I agree, you know, I agree that there are these protests in the set, but if you want to, as you say, not, you know, be seen as all you do is jumping on these bandwagons, right? The Jake Heppel thing, White Lives Matter, that's a great example. Jake Heppel flew over the Iliad Stadium, was it, with a White Lives Matter banner on a plane, right? That was activism in. It was brilliant because people saw it, people started talking about it, and what did you do? You went and copied it. You went and copied it till its death, to until it wore its welcome, right? You know, you don't really do that anymore. Stand on the side of roadways with banners out, do you? Or go up hills, you know. While Jake Heppel lost fucking his job, and the pilot lost his job and his girlfriend and shit like that, he was hounded by the media for that one thing he did. You ran to the hills and did it. You didn't put any skin on the line. Yeah. But that guy did. He was a trendsetter rather than a reactionary bandwagoner. The Chad trendsetter versus the Virgin bandwagoner, Mark. Which one do you think you are?
People, it brings people together and it spreads our message. That is all political. To say it's not is absurd, and to categorize a man who I said earlier gave up on his child's 3rd birthday to go out and demonstrate with our people is I find it rather insulting. I personally want us to be a political party, but I don't expect.
That isn't a win, Mark. Keep going on about your daughter's 3rd birthday. That's not a win. It's only a win because you were fucking embarrassed. You were embarrassed into doing that, and then you made yourself look even worse. I don't know any man that can do that other than you. Well done. Have a gold star.
Everyone in this group to have to want to stand in elections. Not everyone here tonight will believe the political road is still open to us, but that doesn't mean they should be excluded from patriotic alternative. Again, I spoke earlier with the vetting.
Well, what are those guys gonna do if? Are you sure you want those guys who don't believe there's a political route in your group? I mean, as I said before, that can, if there isn't a political solution, what's the other one you're interested in, huh?
About things becoming an us and them and putting barriers between patriotic alternative and different groups. I want the wider nationalist community, the streamers, the content creators, the artists, the musicians, all of them, to be able to come here and find a home and be part of a big picture. We're all a piece of a jigsaw puzzle that slots in somewhere. But have you ever seen a jigsaw puzzle made out of a single piece, just one piece? No, if you had one piece and cloned it 1,000,000 times, you wouldn't make a jigsaw, you just have a load of pieces that didn't fit together. We are painting a big picture, and everyone has their place in that. Everyone is different, and I don't wish to turn people away. I don't wish to give up on the social aspect. I don't wish to give up on the advocacy. I don't wish to give up on any of that. And remember, this all came from a camp which 12 people attended. I think in around 2017, 2018 was the first camp. And
oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. It all came together then. Well, the PA website has been registered since 2017, and that one of the guys from National Action, Alex Davies, was part of talks with Mark Collett that were revealed in the trial hearing, documents. It's very interesting that PA was set up, and those 12 people who went to that camp. I wonder if Alex Davies attended that camp, by the way. That'd be very interesting, wouldn't it? So yeah, the website was registered 2017. The camp had hit in 2017. PA didn't officially start until 2019. I wonder if that has anything to do with Alex Davies being arrested for membership of National Action. Maybe.
it grew rapidly. But that camp in itself was a social event. Who was with me that year? We walked up the Great Ridge in Mantor and dropped the first White Lives Matter banner. We've done so many things.
Again, running to the hills with a banner. Stunning and brave. Stunning and brave.
And we shouldn't be throwing them all away. That makes me sad. it sort of disappoints me that people would be saying we should do that. And it disappoints me that we should be talking in a derogatory way about different types of pro-white activism. And if anyone says to me, Mark, you're wasting your time doing those CVs for those young men, you're wasting your time helping people with anxiety or social issues or mentoring people, you've got the wrong idea. That's not a waste of time. If I can turn a young man from a bedroom dwelling, shy and reclusive, benefit seeker, into a strong, fit and healthy guy that's integrated in the workplace, that can meet a woman and start a family, that's a positive change. And just remember.
Then if that is what you want to do, Mark, why don't you just set Patriotic Alternative up as a fucking dating site? I mean, you've got plenty of experience with FaceTime, right? The swinging thing. So, I'm sure Sam can help you out there as well with the swinging thing. Yeah, so just set up PA as a dating site then, right? Looking for a white man with, lots of money and shit, streams Mario Kart, I guess that would be yours, right, Mark?
My advocacy never stops. It was a Sunday night at about 9 o'clock when my phone rang and a girl said to me, I've got a court case coming in next week. They're trying to sack me for not wearing a mask at work. Within minutes, I'd put her on to Robin Tilbrook, who also gave up his evening. She was soon to be famous as the first woman, or the first person in Britain to ever, and she's a nationalist, by the way, to ever beat the system when it came to discrimination over wearing masks. Should I give that up? Should I turn my phone off? Should I not speak to that person? Should I say, no, I haven't got time, I'm out leafleting tonight? No, I shouldn't. All of these things are wins. There are many ways for us to advance this cause. There is not one single way. If there was a singular way, we'd be doing it, but there isn't. This is a multifaceted approach. And I spoke to a number of regional organisers and activists this week. And when I said, what do you think about helping disenfranchised whites? They said to me, the reason they got in touch with PA is exactly because of that. And I can tell you now, I can see names in this group, and I see people who are part of our homeschooling group. I see people who are donors. I see people who are video creators. I see people who are streamers. I see people who are leafleters. I see a guy in here who's put out thousands and thousands of leaflets. And you know what? I'd shake all your hands and thank you all for your contribution. But I wouldn't sit here and say, you're better than him, or she's better than you. I thank you all for your contribution, no matter how big, how small, or in what field you make it. That's my take on what we should be and how we are doing this. And my final point is, we absolutely do want to be a political party. We will keep fighting that. However, it looks like we need to mount a full legal challenge against the Electoral Commission. That would cost a lot of money. I am willing to raise that money.
So please open your wallets and give us some more money so we can fail again. Yes. Constant and repeated failure. What is the definition of insanity again?
We are trying this, and Steve Blake will attest. He's here tonight, and I'd like him just to speak up. He spoke earlier. We have had meetings with the Electoral Commission. We have worked on a number of revisions of our application. But he will tell you, or he'll tell you if I'm lying, every single time we apply and do what the Electoral Commission said, they move the goalposts and they object to something completely new that they had never objected to in the past.
Yes, Mark, thanks for that. Absolutely correct. I've been involved with the applications to the Electoral Commission for, well, must be coming up to, I think I'm on my third application now. And you're right that every single time that we submit an application, they will raise something new. I know questions have been asked by some people about our competency in the submission process. And the answer is, I believe that we have been thorough, we've been professional in every aspect of our communication with the Commission. But
so what are these things? Again, lack of examples, right? And this is the difference between these two pieces of the community, these recordings that were put out. This one is completely lack and devoid of any kind of detail, right? Whereas the other one has detail. Now, this is a problem, like, of Mark and his kind of style, is he doesn't want to give up the detail. So maybe if you told people, oh, well, okay, what is the problem here? Why did they reject you this time? Why did they reject you last time? Because at this point, we don't know why they rejected them. It could be the same bloody thing, but they're just saying it's a new one thing, and it's, again, without any specifics, how are we to know what the problem here is? And you're saying, you've been criticized for your competency. Well, yeah, this is a problem. You aren't being transparent because you keep failing and you keep giving the same thing, same response. Oh, they changed the goalposts. That was the excuse last time. Oh, the excuse before that, they changed the goalposts. Oh, okay. Why? Are you doing something wrong here? I mean, there's a, we'll get to it when we listen to Kenny Smith's side of the story. But yeah, well, it'll be very interesting to contrast and compare these two statements.
Every submission, they find something new. The most recent application that we made on the 20th of January this year, we received a reply just before the end of March, and they raised something.
Oh, really?
It was completely unexpected. They raised something that they could have raised 3 years ago about the nature of our relationship as a membership organisation with the entity that was created 3 years ago called Patriotic Alternative Limited. And they asked to see the articles of association of that limited company that was formed 3 years ago. Now, that shows that they are either not competent in the analysis of the submissions that we are making, or they are deliberately putting obstacles in our way. And it's
whoa. Okay, so all right. Okay, so I may have to, eat my words and say that no details are given. Okay, in this example, right. So what are the Electoral Commission complaining about? They're complaining about the relationship between PA, the political organisation they wish to set up, and PA as a company. Well, that says to me that the Electoral Commission see them as two separate entities, right? Rather than you being one, right? Because you've set up a company named PA, and now you're trying to set up a party called Patriotic Alternative under the same name. That might be the problem there, right? I don't know any fucking political parties called Coca-Cola, right? Yeah? Or Pepsi, or fucking World Foods or whatever, right? Else, right? There's no political party called that. So is the problem here that you set up a company and you cannot register a company as a political party, right? Because then, anyone could set up a company called Coca-Cola, right? Doesn't have any affiliation with it, and they block it, right? Is it simple as that? I don't know. I'd have to look into it. Be fascinating.
It's all well and good that individuals might go off and try and create their own political party. They're going to face exactly the same hurdles that we face. Any organisation that wants to be a splinter group from PA with the same manifesto, the same political goals, is going to face exactly the same struggle that we.
I mean, wasn't that like one of the reasons why you got rejected before, is because you literally ripped off someone else's manifesto? I believe it was in the beginning. Like the reason, remember your website was absolutely atrocious, and then all of a sudden, you literally had the constitution of like some other like political party on there, and then it got changed. Yeah. So it was copy paste job. So is this a similar case? Yeah.
We face with the Electoral Commission. And also on that note, we were told by the Commission back in January that you've got to get your submission in by the 20th of January 2023 in order for our staff to give you make a decision before the local elections taking place in May. The Commission staff are going to be tied up for at least until the end of June while they process the results of the May the 4th local elections, and I believe that there are other local elections taking place in some other parts of the country later on in May. So their staff are going to be tied up until the end of June, and they told us that the very earliest that they would be able to look at any new submission from us, and indeed any other entity that wants to register with the Commission, would be July. It takes approximately 2 months for the Commission to get their act together and actually deliver a result. So realistically, we are looking at August, September before the decision of our next submission is going to be announced by the Commission. These things don't happen overnight. So if any new organisation wants to try the game of registering with the Electoral Commission in the heat of the moment and submit an application, any support that they may have now, they just need to bear this in mind. Logistically, they're not going to get a result, and there's going to be great disappointment if they don't get a result before September.
Right. Well, that's the non-point. I mean, the point of getting it is to get registered, right? You know, you probably don't care. You know, after you get registered, you can care about who stands in elections or whatever, or, you know, the timescale of things. The point is getting registered. This is a total fucking... I don't know why he's going on about here. Why he needs to, you know, put a timescale on something. Like, what does it matter if you get registered in May or if you get registered in September? You've got registered. That's the goal, right? Like, you know, is he trying to say that, you know, trying to diminish like this splinter group's hope? Probably, yeah. But you know, as long as you get registered, right? You know, you know, that is the whole point. You get registered like the first or second attempt you do it, not the 8th. Yeah, because you've listened to the EC's feedback, right? And you know, you followed their guidelines. Like, you know, when you failed the 8th time, you have to start thinking, hold on a minute, maybe there's something we're doing wrong here. Yeah, you know, I've heard things about the EC that they're actually very, you know, forgiving for people, you know, and for you to like put your tinfoil hat on and say the lizard people are stopping you from setting up your party. Well, you've got to have some kind of like evidence for that, right? Not just vague words of, well, you know, they could have brought, you know, this thing up 3 years ago. You know, maybe they didn't realize about, you know, this 3 years ago. I don't know, but you know, they're bringing up the same problem. The problem is then you haven't addressed that problem from 3 years ago. How do we know that the problem with the Electoral Commission of, you know, its relationship between your company and the political party you're setting up hasn't been the problem all along? There's been no evidence to suggest that hasn't been the case. You're just saying that. I'm not inclined to believe you unless you provide the receipts of all previous attempts, right? Maybe show some transparency in that case and show then that it has been a case of, you know, they've fucked us around at every opportunity, right? Because at this point, going into your 9th attempt, if they reject you again, you know, when people will get bored and annoyed at that, and you know, this is probably why they've split off, right? Because you know, something ain't right here, is it? You know, I
think it's a valid point that anybody contemplating today, this evening, contemplating going down the registration process needs to bear in mind. You might have some heat and some passion at the moment, but in 4 months' time, when the Commission still haven't yet delivered their result, you will start to find that impatience sets in. So that's an important point to bear for those who are currently considering
in 4 years
moving away from PA.
Failed.
So
Okay.
yeah, you're factually correct there, Mark, about the Commission's determination to put hurdles in our way.
Thank you so much. Now I want to address the final point. I said there were 2 points where I feel there was misrepresentation of what I have said. The first was with the vetting. I feel I was misrepresented. The second is with the direction of the organisation, which I also feel I was misrepresented, but that's a little more subjective. Now, finally, I want to explain the offer I made to Kenny Smith. And I've heard that it's being said that I was unreasonable, that I offered him a derisory role, and I somehow slighted him. Now, this is subjective. You can decide for yourselves whether it was a reasonable offer or not. I offered Kenny Smith to return immediately to his position as head of administration for the organisation. Immediately. Kenny Smith took a small monthly fee for processing donations. I told him he would retain any monies he made from the processing of donations, and our agreement for him to retain monies from the processing of memberships would also continue. So he was going to retain his position. He was going to retain all of the money that he was being offered for his services to Patriotic Alternative. And on top of that, I said that if we could get on and if we could rebuild our trust and friendship over the next 6 months, he would be appointed full-time party manager on a full-time wage as soon as we could afford to pay him that full-time wage. Now, there are a couple of caveats here.
Fuck me. Oh, that is such a great offer, man. That's like your work, like saying, oh, we're letting you go, and then ringing you up the next day and saying, well, actually, we could take you back at the same rate. And, oh, you know, actually, no, it's not. No, that's a bad example. It's like you asking for a promotion at work and they saying no. And then you say, oh, right, okay, then I've got to leave because, you know, it's not enough, right? And then them ringing you back and saying, "Oh, okay, we'll give you back your old job, and in 6 months' time, we may give you a raise or a promotion with no guarantee." You know, I mean, there's no guarantee that in 6 months' time that you'll have the funds to be able to pay you. It's whenever they feel like, you know. And then you got the same thing happening again in 6 months. What a great offer. You know, no concrete terms of, oh, yes, you're going to get this, right? Why would anyone choose that? That's such a shit offer. No wonder they laughed at you.
And Steve will be able to tell you if this was actually the offer. Laura will be able to verify this too. There was one sticking point where Kenny said that he wanted to carry on as head of admin and make all local appointments and regional appointments. I said that after what had happened with the resignation and the issues we've had over the last week, he could return to all of his duties, but the issue of appointments of regional organisers and local officials would be done on a consensus basis. He would not have sole sign-off and not sole veto. Myself.
Oh, so Mark has learned. Well done. He's learned that, you know, you shouldn't give one man control of your organisation. You don't want to get shut out of chats again, eh, Mark? No, you gotta have a consensus with Laura and Mark, who are both on the same team. So basically, they can veto any of your appointments because, well, those two are on the same side. There's only 3 people. It's not exactly fair that way. You know, all your appointments they can just appoint whoever they like now, and you're doing all this busy work for them for this minimal cut and a promise of you know, all this money coming in later down the line if they can be asked to pay you, maybe, you know, when they can, you know, and they only, you know. Okay. I wonder he didn't take the offer, right? What a great offer, you know. But he has learned, at least. Mark has learned not to, you know, he may not be as stupid as we once thought, you know. You know, he sees that, you know, maybe it's not a good idea for Kenny to have all this power, you know, considering his pedigree, huh? Wow. Yeah, so
Laura and him would deal with all appointments going forward as a group with a consensus. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think there has been a loss of trust. I think there has been a loss of friendship. I am very sorry for that. And I am not saying that anyone is to blame for it. But I am saying I want to rebuild the trust. I want to rebuild our friendship. And I would offer him that position. And within 6 months, we would then, had we worked together effectively and had things worked out, promote him to party manager. During the 6-month period that I'm talking about,
it's just Mark's idea of like cooking Kenny and then like at the last minute just like fucking him up when he's reestablished all the information that Mark needs to then like say, oh well, we don't need you anymore. Is that it? Is that what's happened here? You know. As you know, Mark only wants all the information that you know Kenny took with him, right? And then it's probably, you know, made it difficult for him to rebuild. Mark wants him back so he can rebuild all of that, and then I'm guessing he's gonna say, oh well, it didn't work out. We couldn't see agreement. Well, I've got the keys to the castle now, mate. You know, it's Mark's learned from his mistake, it seems.
We also agreed to setting in writing specific procedures about the structure of the organization, about the vetting system, and an entire set of documents relating to security, organizational structures, and different documentation to help our regional organizers and to grow, along with a raft of new appointments, including a national media officer, a national events officer, and other positions.
Oh, that's interesting. A national media officer. What happened to the media team then? Has PA's media team stopped doing the thing? You know, where's all the big media stuff? Like, Scotland had a media team. Wonder why is PA just now seeking to appoint a national media officer? Bit weird. Each individual group has got their own media team then, I guess. Seems a bit, hapdash maybe. Unified effort, right? Interesting.
These positions and these structures and these documents would all be signed off on a consensus basis between myself, Laura, and Kenny. And if after that 6 months, when all of these were drafted and he had been working as head of admin, if we all agreed and we all shook hands and it had all worked out, he would be appointed as party manager, and those structures would then be set in stone, so that if there ever were any more misinterpretations, if there ever were any more talks of splits or nuclear options or groups breaking away over structure and procedure, we could refer to these documents. And we had a very talented man who works in writing specific procedural structures like this come forward and say, I will write them with Mark, Laura, Kenny, Steve Blake to make sure that there is neutral oversight, multiple points of contact, and we get this right. And we then said that these documents, before being ratified, would be passed for consideration to regional organisers and regional councils. They would be able to pass amendments back. That's why this would be a 6-month process and not just done overnight. And at that point, were all the issues fixed, and we all agreed to move forward in the way that was written down in these documents. He would be positioned as party manager and formally take that position, and as soon as possible would receive a full-time wage. I personally do not think that was unfair. And I'm going to say tonight, despite everything that has happened, despite all of the trouble over the last few days, I do not want to apportion blame. I do not want to drag anyone through the mud. My hand of friendship is still held out. That offer is still open. And if people see sense and wish to heal the rifts, I want to heal rifts. I do not want to split. It breaks my heart. It gives me sleepless nights. I am very worn down. I am very tired. Laura and Steve and Sam and the people close to me will attest to this. I have had a pretty horrid week, and I want to put this behind us. And I give you my word, this is being recorded, and you are all my witnesses, as are anyone that watches this recording, that should anybody wish to return and make amends and shake hands and move forward with what I'm offering now, anything that has taken place over this last week will be wiped off the slate, and there will be a handshake and a gentleman's agreement never to bring it up again. I do not believe that to be unfair. Laura, would you like to add anything to what I've just said?
You're used to those gentle agreements, aren't you, Mark? I mean, I think you made one with Nick Griffin, didn't you, back in the day? You know, left your poor friend Dave Hannon out on the loop there, eh? According to that gentleman's agreement. Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Laura might be looking after Catherine. Steve?
No, I couldn't unmute myself. Okay. Sorry. I just want to just confirm that everything that Mark has said there is true. Kenny Smith was our national admin officer. That's how we've always introduced him on streams and at the conference, and in written format and everything. And unfortunately, he resigned as national admin officer last Wednesday. Mark
Wow.
and Kenny spoke on the phone, and Mark said that he didn't accept that resignation. And on Monday, after a busy few days, we finally managed to have a meeting with Kenny. It was a very long meeting. It continued on Tuesday. This is the one that Steve chaired. And by the end of the meeting on Tuesday, as Steve said earlier, we agreed on 95% of stuff, and we all felt positive and we were ready to move forward. And Kenny asked for a promotion to party manager and said that it was his line in the sand. And myself and Mark declined that promotion at this present time, primarily because Kenny had resigned 6 days previously, and we didn't feel comfortable giving such a senior position to somebody who had wanted to leave 6 days previously, especially because in Kenny's resignation, which I'm sure you've all seen now, he said that he had no confidence that Patriotic Alternative would succeed. So we said,
Oof. Ouch. Ouch. If anyone has that resignation letter floating around, you know where to send it.
We want to continue this relationship and build things back up again. However, we will revisit this in 6 months' time. Please stay on as National Admin Officer. You can keep the money that you earn. You can continue doing that. And we will look in the future to appoint you as the first full-time paid member of staff. We even offered to put it in writing and say that we would look at the party manager title in 6 months' time. But unfortunately, Kenny didn't want that, and unfortunately he resigned, regrettably. But yeah, I agree with Mark that I don't think a split is a good thing at all. I don't think it makes us more effective. I think it makes us less effective. I also think it makes us look absolutely stupid to our enemies. I'm not.
Yes, you're right there, Laura. This is gonna. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for the fucking media to see, talk about this one. This is gonna be very interesting. Yeah. And especially for certain things have been leaked, according to certain Mr. Griffin about the so we say database, and Sunday Times was mentioned, I believe. We'll see if anything comes of that. Yes, so next week is going to be very interesting.
Not sure if organisations like Hope Not Hate have got hold of this yet, but this is not the image that we should be portraying. We should be portraying an image of professionalism and also not dwelling on negativity all the time, but being optimistic and giving hope to our people, because we are the vanguard. We're the first ones standing up and doing something about this, and we have a responsibility to be professional at all times and to not be driven by anything other than a love for our people. So I agree with Mark that anybody who has left over the last week is welcome back at Patriotic Alternative. And we have a fantastic organisation here. Everyone can attest that we're all very happy, we're all very good friends, and we're all enjoying the struggle. And I just want us to draw a line under this now, whether it's just us guys who are left or whether other people do come back. Tomorrow morning I'll be waking up and I'll be going back to work, and that is it. We are putting an end to this. We don't want drama. It's just, we're not about that. So yeah, I agree with Mark. And perhaps Steve would like to say something about the offer that we made Kenny.
Yeah, I just want to ask Steve, is that accurate, what we offered him? And do you think that's fair and reasonable?
I sat through those meetings. I will attest that the offer that you have broadcast this evening is in fact the offer that was made to Kenny on Tuesday. And yeah, Kenny rejected that offer on those 2 points about the job title rather than the description, the job title, and the veto on appointing local and regional officials. They were the two issues with which Kenny disagreed, but you have factually reported that. And throughout this evening, I have been listening to you both.
He didn't. You notice how he didn't say he agreed that it was fair. I'm telling you. If Steve's going over to their party at some point, when this is all over, yeah. Steve doesn't agree it's fair. Kenny doesn't agree it's fair. Mark, did you not pick up on that?
Both the contents of Mark and Laura very carefully. I was party at those meetings, and if anything that either Mark or Laura had said this evening that was not factually correct to my understanding of it, my recollection of those meetings, I would have jumped in and politely corrected them. I haven't needed to do so because everything that I have heard coming from Mark and Laura this evening about the contents of those meetings has been factually correct.
But not fair. It's been correct, but is it fair? He didn't ask you that. He wanted to know if it was fair, Steve. Is it fair?
And yeah, I would just like to add my own, I wouldn't say plea is not the right word, my own, a clarion call really to these people that have left. And I said, some of these people, they've become friends over the past few years. We worked together on various projects, and it's a great shame that they've gone. At least some of them have gone. I'm not 100% sure if they're convinced they really want to go. I think there's a lot of hesitancy on the part of some individuals. I would just implore them to spend the evening thinking carefully about the path that they've chosen. Patriot Alternative, like every organisation, we're not perfect. Of course we're not. We're the best. We're the best that exists. We're not perfect. Of course we're not. No one individual is perfect. But that's why we have a first-class team of officers to listen to what people have got to say, to learn from mistakes, put procedures in place that makes us better, so that we can become the perfect vehicle for securing the identity and prosperity of our people for all time to come in these island homelands of ours. So just please, guys, those that have decided that...
Oh, he said the word. He said homeland. He's a spy, Mark. He's a spy.
They want to walk away but are still undecided.
He's a fifth
Please think
column,
carefully
Mark.
about your course of action.
Careful.
And you know that PA is the #1 ethno-nationalist movement in this country. And while it might not be perfect, work from the inside to do your bit to make it that perfect organisation.
Thank you, Steve. Now, obviously, if there's anyone who'd like to ask a question, there is a way to raise your hand. You can obviously do that, and we will be more than happy to answer your questions. This isn't some sort of just a way for us to put over what we say. If anyone feels that something needs to be said, they can ask questions now, and we'll do that for a reasonable length of time. Obviously, we're not going to go to midnight or anything, but we will try to answer every question.
Right.
If anybody wants to ask a question, there should be an option for raising your hand. I think it's under reactions at the bottom of your screen. You should see reactions, and there'll be a set of emojis there. And the one is raise hand if you want to ask a question, and I'll bring you in and unmute you.
That says to me that they're not using Telegram.
We've either got a technical problem or nobody's got a question.
Cool.
Well, if no one has a question, I'm happy to end it here. We will place the recording in every regional officers group and in every regional community chat. Obviously, I can't stop people sharing it outside of there or disseminating it further. However, we obviously have done it in this way to give you a way to actually respond if you wanted. And also, we have Rory. Rory has raised a hand.
Good evening, Mark.
Hello.
Good evening, Laura, too. On the topic of this vetting procedure, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to give the regional organisers more power over who and who wouldn't be vetted. But I understand that a number of them have resigned. I don't quite understand why some regional organisers, including my own, have done that, if that would have given them more confidence in who they could allow in. Perhaps you could answer that quickly, Mark. Thank you.
I don't understand that either. I don't believe what we were saying was unreasonable, and I believe there has been misrepresentation of what we've said. I said misrepresentation. I think there has been some people who have said things which are not accurate communications of what myself and Laura wish, and I think some people have reacted badly to the suggestion of change. However, I was in no way attempting to take away any power from anything. If I was simply allowing the fact that different regions did things differently, and then that was leading to some people having disagreements. So this region's doing it wrong, my region does it right, etc. I was saying, look, certain regions are doing it this way, they seem to be doing very well, and I want to give people a chance to make common sense calls. As I said, I don't know why that has angered people so much, but it has. And it was not my intention to anger anyone. It was my intention to create dialogue in a way that would allow us to do things better and to grow into an organisation that could pursue community politics more effectively.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Am I unmuted, Sarah?
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the problems that have come this week have been because of miscommunication. So I did actually chuckle to myself when you asked that question, because we're essentially saying that we wanted to give them more power and they resigned because we wanted to give them more power. But I think that they perhaps believed that we wanted to do something else. I don't know if it was Chinese whispers. I don't know if it was because at points they wouldn't answer the phone to us, they wouldn't talk to us. And when we did speak to a regional organiser and say, this is what we want for vetting, one-on-one, they agreed with us and said, yeah, that sounds great. But then, you know, in the big group chat when everyone's jumping in and they're saying, you want this? And we're like, no, we don't. I don't know if it was Chinese whispers. I don't know if it was somebody maybe telling something that was, you know, little fibs or something. But yeah, I don't think they actually knew what we genuinely wanted. And that's why it's so upsetting that there has been a split, because I've spoken to a couple of the officers, well, more than a couple of the officers who have left today, and they've told me that they don't want to go. And it just seems like it's so unnecessary, and it's not happening because there are genuine disagreements. It's happening because, I don't know, I think in some regions maybe the leader left, so the officers felt like they had to follow. Yeah, it's just a shame.
Okay, the next person that raised their hand was Streeb, but Streeb appears to not have audio working. If you fix your audio, I'll bring you in. But in the meantime, I'll bring in Jez.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Hi there. Yeah, no, just a brief question. I'm looking at a thing called the Signed Officers Letter, which sort of expresses lack of confidence in the leadership, and it's got, amongst the signed, it's got Steve Blake. I was just wondering, is that accurate that he signed that, or is it misrepresented?
Okay. The answer is I was asked. The answer is yes. That is my real signature on that. And the reason I was involved in that is because on Saturday, Sunday actually, on Sunday, I was asked by a couple of the younger guys, the younger ROs, if I would look at a letter that they had written calling for a meeting with Mark and saying that they wanted these issues resolved at a face-to-face meeting. They asked me to look over it on two counts. First of all, I'm a bit of a schoolmaster in respect that I do a lot of proofreading for the PA articles, and they asked me to make sure that it was to proofread it and that it was accurate, and also that it was reasonable. And they did not want to compose a letter that was in any way belligerent or disrespectful. And they asked me to look at that letter with a view that it should be signed off as being respectful and reasonable. And that is my level of input into that letter. So I hope that does that answer your question.
Patrick?
Patrick.
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I find this I mean, this is, in a sense, this is mystifying, the whole thing. I had a long conversation today with my RO. He's one of the ones who resigned. And he's my friend. I respect him. I like him very much. And I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth, as it were, you know, why? Where's this come from? What's happening? What's this all about? Tell me. I want to know. I want to know your side of the story. And he did at great length. But as I was listening to him, and I really was, you know, I wasn't butting in. I was listening. I wanted him to lay out his case, and I wanted to know, you know, where this came from. But he was painting a picture of PA which I simply didn't recognize. He was painting this image of PA as being rudderless, leaderless, drifting, etc., etc. And I told him, I said, you know, eventually, I said, look, this is, I don't recognize any of this. To my mind, PA is, you know, has always been exceptionally clear in its goals. The fact that it uses different, you know, as you said at the very beginning, Mark, when you were talking about the whole electoral politics thing. And sorry, I'm just grasping for, there was something that was on the edge of my tongue I was just about to say there. Oh, for heaven's sake. But as I say, I didn't recognize any of this. And then eventually I just, and this is what it comes down to for me, and I said this to him. The simple fact is, we, PA, we must become a mass movement. That's absolutely not negotiable. If we want to achieve power, which we do, to save our people, which we do, we must become a mass movement. We must number in the millions. We must do that. Now, to my mind, right from the very beginning, and I've been involved from almost the very beginning, PA is the organization that has that potential. It's the only one that has that potential. Nothing else comes close. And in order for the people who are contemplating leaving, and I will make a plea. If Steve, I understand, Steve, but I will make a plea. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is going to give our enemies. There's going to be months of official gloating over this if they get wind of it, which they will. Please don't do it. This is going to be a disaster. I mean, I'm not being black-pilled. Sorry, I know I don't want to ramble, but the point is we need to become a mass movement for our people. PA has the potential to do that. The people who are thinking of leaving, they can only be leaving if they thought in these terms, because they think that PA does not have that potential. It cannot achieve that mass movement, and that homeland, which I believe is what they're calling it, can. I just find this absolutely mystifying. I really do. I didn't understand. I didn't recognize the picture of PA he was painting. I don't know where this has come from. And yeah, sorry. I know I'm rambling. I didn't intend to. But guys, if you're thinking of leaving, please reconsider. Think about what you're doing. Anyway, that's.
Well, thank you, Patrick. I know Patrick well. We've had many conversations on the phone. He's a lovely man. I've got to say, I echo what he said. Please, do not leave. And I also want to add that if you have spoken to regional organisers or people that have said something different to what we've said tonight, please do consider, or other people have heard one side of the story, not the other. Please do present both sides. We're not forcing anyone to do anything. We believe we're putting a generous offer of reconciliation on the table, and we also believe from the bottom of my heart, that we want to reform this in a sense of bringing everyone back in one tent. We absolutely want to do that. If there are people out there who are only letting people hear one side of the story, I fundamentally believe that is wrong. And we have had issues where certain people who have supported some of these actions have locked myself and Laura out of regional groups and prevented me and her from talking to people at local level about this issue. And I think that's made the problem worse.
Laura, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something about the letter that Jez mentioned earlier that has 33 signatures on it. I have spoken to 10 of the officers who signed that letter. We were presented it on Tuesday night. On Wednesday morning, I called round those officers and spoke to them. And not a single one of those officers, 100% of them, signed the letter because they think that we have the problems that are in the letter. Some of them are very annoyed and want their signatures taken off. For example, there was one gentleman who told me that his regional organiser, who is one of the regional organisers who has left, presented the letter to him and said, Mark and Laura want to absolutely dismantle vetting and get rid of it entirely. You need to sign this letter. 60 people are going to be signing it. I need you to sign it too. And he signed that letter. When I told him, actually, no, these are the issues that are written in the letter and your signature has been presented to myself and Mark, and they're saying, the officers have these issues too. He regretted signing it. Like I said, I've spoken to 10 people who all said that they do not believe that those issues are issues that they have, and some are actually very angry and want their signatures taken off. I'm not saying that none of the signatures are legitimate. Maybe you signed it and maybe you think those issues in the letter are relevant, but if you see that letter floating around with 33 signatures on it, please just, a pinch of salt with it, because they're not legitimate signatures, unfortunately. Some of them have been feigned for different reasons.
I just want to add to this. I think some people signed those things who have changed their mind. And I want to just keep reiterating, there is no witch hunt. No one who has signed anything or has, temporarily decided to down tools is in any way excluded. I will do anything to bring this back together. I will drive up, meet Kenny Smith. He lives very far north. I'll meet him halfway. We can sit and talk in person. I have no problem with doing any of that. I genuinely want to heal this. And I can tell you, I also want to heal it with the people who feel that some of the issues with the vetting were unfair to them and forced them out. I want to heal it with a range. I want to heal this with a range of people. A few weeks ago, you saw myself and Laura and Sam and Wesley and others speaking in Cannock. And we were there and we met some nationalists who formed a breakaway group called the INN. One of them, a guy called Anglo Joe, who at one time we were very friendly and good terms. We obviously had a little bit of parting of ways. People will saw, we shook hands. and we are now again good friends. I think that guy is a good guy. I like him a lot. He's a great guy, in fact, and I should never have fallen out with him. And there's so few of us. And the idea that we're all going to fall out with each other and set up our own little groups and do our own things and swim in different directions is a bad idea. Now, I'm not saying it should be a free for all, and there should be no vetting, and anyone should be able to turn up at our events. We've never said that. I always said we're trying to keep out people who are bad actors. That was the first speech I ever made, said we don't want people coming to the events who, you know, are potentially bad actors. But the idea that we can keep moving in smaller circles and there should be no unity and we can't work together. Last night was a wonderful show of working together. Myself and Robin Tilbrook, we worked with David Clues from Unity News Network. I would absolutely work with people from other nationalist organizations. We've worked with the BDP. The fact of the matter is that fundamentally, we have very little time to save our people, and we need to be big enough to hold out the hand of friendship, which is absolutely what I am doing now in good faith. And all of the people who've heard this tonight can take that good faith message to others and play this to them, because this will be circulated. You can let people know what me and Laura have actually said, and this has been recorded. We have, you know, dozens of witnesses. You know, we can't go back on this. We're not going to go back on this. This isn't, you know, a way to placate anyone. This is a genuine plea to fix things. Now, has anyone else got a question, or shall we finish this?
I can see no raised hands. So last call really for anybody, the 63 participants. If everyone's happy with the presentation of the facts this evening, no further questions or points that anyone wants to raise, then I'd like to thank Mark and Laura for their time this evening in putting forward a level-headed, factually correct presentation of the facts of the issue. Obviously, thanks to everybody who has played a part here this evening, asked questions, and just being here to listen. Even if you've not asked a question, the fact that you've been here to listen to Mark and Laura is much appreciated, so that you can actually go away armed with the facts of the matter and discuss this with your colleagues this evening or over the next few days. You're in presence of the facts now. So there should be no grounds for miscommunication, misunderstanding definitions, and what was offered to Kenny on Tuesday. well, I think we can round it up now, guys.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll close this down now. We'll end the recording. Everyone can filter out the room. I'll say goodnight to the people who've organised this. And, you know, I hope everyone goes away to any disenfranchised groups, to any people feeling alienated or isolated away from this, anyone who's heard misrepresentations and puts this straight. I want to fix things, and I want to draw a line under this and under other issues that have happened in the past, and we want to fix them. Now is not the time to move in ever smaller circles. Now is the time to be big enough to say, hey, nationalism has been damaged over the last 40 years by splits like the one that are occurring now. And as a leader, I want to buck the trend. I don't want to do what previous leaders have done and say there's no way back, this is war, there's lines in the sand, friends can't talk to friends, people have to choose. Between you know, which friend they can talk to from now on. That is what destroys not just organization but entire political movements. And I'm pleading with you from the bottom of my heart, please let's fix this. And that message goes out to everyone, regardless of what side in this you're on. Thank you and good night.